Blue skies, a few clouds in the area, but a beautiful Friday afternoon. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper, Andy Serling, Acacia Clement, the Dream Trio is back. Good to see you both.
Why don't I get a long title like Andy?
What would you like?
I don't know.
Third part of the Dream Trio?
Or I'll
Number
think of
3.
something.
Integral part of the Dream Trio? Now you better?
The Notebook is a movie that Andy and Acacia got together to watch last night together because it's their favorite. It also
I
is our
watch it every
feature early on. You're a big Ryan Gosling fan, right?
I am. I guess it's great.
He is
Really
great.
good race coming up in race 5, and obviously Acacia, you'll have plenty to talk about with Caroline Street beat there for your husband in this race. Is that where we start in this race, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's where we start. It's an interesting race because what happens this time of year is you get sprinters stretching out, and if they can do it. Now we saw Tom Morley's horse Atfield stretch out in the division and win a race last time, so they can do it. But Caroline Street beat. I mean, this was one of the more impressive first-time starter debuts going along in the turf we saw all summer in Saratoga.
Yeah, he obviously was well named for a horse to debut in Saratoga, named after the fun and excitement at Caroline Street, where you can find Andy most nights out there. But he got the job done at first asking. Got the job done at first asking. He was still a little bit immature, a little bit of physical immaturity with him. So the plan was always to give him a little bit of time after that race, whether he won or not. So has been sidelined, but came back really in great form, training up at Saratoga before having his last couple of works down here at Belmont, obviously having the opportunity to work on the turf before his return.
And Andy's migrated about a block down from the madness on that street in his later years.
I don't think I went, other than going to dinner, I don't think I went into a bar this entire summer.
Wow.
You were well
But
behaved.
most
I'm
know
old. I'm not well behaved. I'm old. I'm not well behaved.
Spirit of New York. One of the few who's stretching out in this race that makes this race a little perplexing in here for Adam Rice. One first time out, third in the Skidmore, and then wins the Bertram F. Bongard against New York Breds.
I think occasionally I have the same problem with this horse. He's obviously talented. He's run well and really well in 2 of his 3 starts. Honest Mischief, you had a stat on him that makes you wonder, does he really want to go long?
Yeah, Honest Mischief was a good sprinter, and he's been an excellent sire, but while he's 14% with his turf sprint progeny, he's 0 for 15 with turf routers, so he's actually never had an offspring that was able to win going long on the turf. I know it's not the biggest sample size. We typically see them with New York Bred Company running here, so that's just a little bit of a concern, though he clearly is a horse with ability.
And I think it obviously it is a small sample size, and it can change dramatically, but when you're 14% with your sprinters and 0 for 15, it is somewhat meaningful, especially when he was a sprinter himself.
That is race 5. It'll close out the early pick 5, starts the late pick 5 on our Friday coverage as you take a look at what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. 2-year-old maiden special weight in the 4th, where I would think we're going to have a very heavy favorite in Wesley Ward's Gypsy Art.
Yeah, but you've got a couple of horses in the 2 and 8 that ran very well in their debuts. A little bit of word on the first-time star, the number 3. So I agree, short price, but not an easy race.
You can play all the action right there at Naira Bets. If you've not already, get signed up, started. The offer, it's right there, that $200 new customer deposit bonus. When you punch in that code at sign-up, bonus 200. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We're going to kick off this Friday card. $10,000 claiming 6 furlong sprint. Fillies and mares, 3 and up, and odds on outside. Echo and Eternity, Linda Rice second off the claim and a drop down in class.
This is way the horse to beat. I mean, the merits are obvious. To me, and I'm a little more worried than Acacia is, that this drop down is a big negative because this is a pretty severe drop down second off the claim for Linda. Especially for a horse that didn't run that badly last time.
No, and she was wide throughout. She never saw the rail in her last race. I did like her going shorter. I think that she might just be better than what she faces in here, but I do think Andy's point and the fact that she's coming in pretty decent form and taking a drop in class. Typically when Linda Rice operates with confidence, maybe stepping horses up or what have you, it's a good sign. So we'll see if she just finds herself in the right place.
Yeah, a little strange to give up that soon and maybe a mile's not what she wants anyway, but quick give up.
I agree, the mile, and
Yeah.
this is Saratoga 3 races back where she finished second. She runs this race, she's going to win this race. Probably win it quite easily and make her 4 to 5 look like a good price. I just don't believe we're going to see it. The question is the effort we see going to be good enough?
she'll have to prove it in here today. She ran very well behind Killy's start this day, who was in really good form, would come back to win again. Echo and Eternity, a horse that's kind of been a hard-knocking type, and it is a give up on the drop in class. I guess we'll find out. For me, the biggest thing in this race, though, was that who do you trust beyond her? And I think at this level, trust is often the name of the game because you don't really have a ton of trust for horses running around at these low-level claiming ranks.
I think that's very fair. I think it's more than fair. I think Maggie T becomes very dangerous potentially as the speed inside.
Yeah.
I like Spring Magic, who's also dropping down in here to a realistic spot. But I agree, it's hard to really trust any of these.
Riders up. Jose Lezcano hopping aboard for Linda Rice on now the even money favorite. As you see that pick 5 pool to kick off the card, approaching $140,000. So Maggie T, you just mentioned, we will see first to start this post parade for good barn that does not get a lot of opportunities, Lolita Shibmangle.
I agree, and I think she has a very logical horse here, cutting back from 7 to 6 in a tough pace scenario against better last time out. Could be the controlling speed.
Here's Spring Magic, Orlando Notabarn second off the claim.
And I'm hoping Jamie Rodriguez sort of sits outside of the horse on the rail and maybe can get his right stalking trip and get it done.
Ghostly Girl with some pace, too. We haven't really seen it the last couple of starts.
Yeah, she's kind of lost her speed, which is definitely a concern, especially as they start to get older and a couple of gaps in her form. See if she can get back to some of those better races.
Book of Wisdom's last start was over as soon as the gate opened at Finger Lakes.
Yeah, obviously that affected, and the prior races are fast enough to give this horse a chance.
And the big favorite back to odds on the outside. Linda Rice second off the claim, the big drop down.
Taking that big drop in class down to the 10,000 also cuts back in distance. You do have to take a very short price, though.
Sometimes when it looks too good to be true, you got to tread with caution.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there is no doubt looking at this race and assuming they're all going to run their races, the 6 is the horse to beat. I'm a little suspect, and that's why I picked the 3, who's drifting up in odds.
Yeah, Spring Magic, 4-1 right now. And what was it that you just wanted someone other than the favorite?
Yeah, I did not want. I found a stat for Linda Rice. It's not a huge stat, but I thought it was kind of interesting. 50% drop downs in claiming prices. Horse ran for 25,000, is in for 10 today with Echo Eternity. She's 3 for 9, second off the claim. All of them were short prices. Not a great result for a trader who wins a lot. As far as Spring Magic, I mean, last time out, this horse at Finger Lakes is a sealed track, didn't get the right kind of trip, comes in here. I thought it run some good races in the past, so I kind of want to give this horse one more chance for the notice. It did not run well at Finger Lakes. Not sure why they went there to begin with to be almost 8-1.
Turn back for Spring Magic as well, as we have quite a buzz here as we get set for this opening race on the card.
Well, the Greg Wolf fan club is actually here in Mass on
Is
the
that what
third
it is?
floor. Yeah.
They have big cutouts of your face. I saw them.
Was that the giveaway today?
Yeah.
No one told me. Let's check in for the first time today with Maggie Wolfendale downstairs.
I agree. Going back to what Acacia said, Greg, you're going to have to work on titles for us because, you know, we just are like, we're like Madonna or something around here. We just get our names. Anyway, we'll take a look here at your favorite at 4-5, Echo and Eternity. As she looks like the horse to beat. I mean, I even, echo back to Wednesday when Linda was doing this first off the claim, cutting a horse literally in half with the claiming price. Claim for 40, drop for 20, resulted in a win. You don't like to take horses like this because there's always that, well, why are they dropping them so much? But she generally does deliver with these types, and she looks like just very much physically the horse to beat for the fact that, too, going back to her last race for previous connections, I just thought got the wrong ride where she was kind of rushed off her feet a bit. And then last time, she really didn't have that much excuse other than it takes heart wiring the field. And maybe you didn't want to be that wide on that racetrack or in that flow of the race as she was chasing on the outside. But the turn back maybe is a little bit suspect for me, but then again, her last win came going the 6 furlong. She is a bigger type of mare, so I do, physically question it, but obviously the proof is in the pudding. She can win at this distance. As we'll move on to number 3, Spring Magic. She's the one I have the biggest problem with the turn back. She's one I've always thought as though that longer is preferable. She looks good here, but the problem has been her getting out of the gate. In her last 2 starts, she has not been able to do so. And if you're turning back in distance and you can't get out of the gate, well, that's a major problem. So she looks fine overall. Wish she warmed up a little bit freer. We see the favorite in here getting a big warm up from Jose Lezcano, so he wants to keep her in contention with this turn back. And I'm just not seeing that with number 3, Spring Magic. I'm going to take a shot here with Book of Wisdom. I totally get Echo and Eternity as a horse to beat, and I'm not that much against her. But Book of Wisdom is a horse that I thought Rudy Rodriguez has done very well with, in that she's put on more weight, put on more conditioning. Obviously, we can forgive her for that last effort up at Finger Lakes and back here to a dry racetrack. And really, she's the one that, of the logical types, I thought just looked most like a sprinter overall. So we'll see what she does here. Generous 8-1. Again, this race gave me some headaches, Greg.
All right, odds on down to 2-5 now. So you beat this horse to start off this pick 5 automatically. You're sitting in great position.
I agree. I'm going to try to beat this horse. I bet the 3 to win. I boxed 1-3. I'm going to try to beat this one.
I was the chalk eating weasel here. I landed on the favorite, but I do think the 3 and 5 are logical alternatives.
Card begins with this $10,000 claiming 6 furlong sprint. Odds on outside. Linda Rice second off the claim. The big drop down. Chris Griffin to kick off the card.
Wisdom. Echo in Eternity. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Ghostly Girl asks for speed from in between horses, and here comes Maggie T to challenge. Maggie T puts a nose in front. Ghostly Girl is going to stick white with this rival, and up on the far outside, here comes Echo in Eternity. Just off of them is Spring Magic and the early trailer, Book of Wisdom. They work up the backstretch here in the opener. Maggie T in control, takes him into the far turn, well within herself, and she's up by a half length. Ghostly Girl right to her outside. Nowhere to go yet, down at the rail, Spring Magic, just waiting for a cue. Out wider is going to be Echo in Eternity, and not keeping up yet, that's Book of Wisdom, who starts to rally from the back. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go, 22-4 for that pressured opening quarter mile. Maggie T to the inside, Christopher Elliott. Spring Magic still patiently ridden right behind horses. Echo in Eternity, no move yet, out wider grandstand side, and even Book of Wisdom is into it late. Ghostly Girl's all in. Maggie T is sent for home, a furlong left to go. Echo in Eternity, Ghostly Girl. Can Book of Wisdom get there? Grandstand side for Dalila Rivera. It's Echo in Eternity, trying to find a bit more inside the final 16th, almost there. Give it to Echo in Eternity in the opener. Maggie T second, then came Book of Wisdom and Ghostly Girl. 1 minute, 11.75 seconds.
Echo in Eternity, the big drop down in class and the win at a very short price to kick off the Friday card.
I don't think it's winning like a 2-5 shot should. Did look to me like she was in a bit of trouble, but she ground out the win.
1-2 she ended up going off at. Big effort, by the way, from Book of Wisdom, who was incredibly far back, lost contact with the field, and she came running on the outside late, just left with a bit too much to do. But Jose Lezcano keeping after Echo in Eternity and got the job done.
1-2 as the favorite to kick off this card. Formful beginning. As you mentioned, yeah, not quite like a 1-2 shot should get it done, but gets it done nonetheless.
Yep.
So Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano, winning move stable. 6-year-old mare wins for the 4th time in her career. Formful start to the card. Gets a little more difficult from here. We'll set up race 2. Prices from the opener when we come back, and we'll tell you about 2 riders who were dominant each and every summer in Saratoga. Gonna have new homes, first time ever for that man right there. Joel Rosario heading back to some familiar grounds in the winter. Stay with us.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets. Back with you on our Friday coverage. America's Day at the Races brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Opener in the books with a short price favorite. Linda Rice, Jose Lizcano at 1-2.
Yep, gets it done. Starts the day off, as you said, for a lot of pick five players. They got the favorite home. Tried to beat him like I did. Didn't work out.
She was the short price and just kept grinding in the stretch. Jose Lizcano got a little bit of a workout in to start the card.
So Echo and Eternity claimed for 25, has to drop in for 10 to get the win.
She had a red tag, too. Looked like she was claimed today.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I imagine a lot of people went in for this horse. And you know what? Judging by the way that she ran, Linda ran in exactly the right spot.
And waiting to find out who, in fact, grabbed her. But she was taken, so moving to a new barn. Race 2, early pick, 4-6 furlongs. 3-year-olds and up. In this condition, $30,000 claiming race. And Social Hour seemed, I thought, pretty heavily the one to beat. What'd you think?
I think it's way, 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 way the horse to beat, especially with the scratch of Linda's horse on the outside. The number 7 Golden Plate. I thought this horse was probably going to be close to even money.
Intent on getting to the lead last time out. And then looking back in hindsight, you can say, okay, well, moved a bit soon. So ended up getting run down to finish third, but making the first start for Orlando Noda. I do think he is the one to beat.
If you're hoping to go to the Arkansas Derby next year, you're probably out of luck. Those tickets are gone. But you can
have any pull for them?
You can still, I have 0 pull. Oaklawn's now accepting reservations for dining and reserved seats for the 2025-26 holiday and classic seasons. Be part of the action and get your tickets now. As we said going to break, a couple of faces, one of them brand new, going to be in Hot Springs over the winter. Luis Saez, for the first time ever, going to be showing up at Oaklawn.
Yeah, he usually does exceptionally well when riding at Gulfstream Park over the winters, and he's had a lot of big wins and a lot of success there. I'm sure we'll probably still go for some of the big stakes days there, the big 3-year-old Kentucky Derby perhaps, but it's a lot of money at Oaklawn Park, and he is a very good speed dirt rider, and I'm sure has some relationships and some trainers that are going to be based there that he wants to take advantage of.
I think he's smart to go there. I mean, the truth is the leading riders there every year are riders that don't really crack the top riders when they go ride in bigger circuits. And guys like Luis Saez and Joel Rosario, these are some of the top riders in the country, and the purses are very strong there.
They're going to get a lot of wins. Joel Rosario, of course, he went there when he had that outstanding Eclipse Award winning year. Got a lot of rides for Steve Asmussen. He will be back.
He will be. He'll be riding for most of the winter, just I think as Luis Saez is willing to travel if you have the horse. I think both of them probably hoping to pick up a Kentucky Derby mount there, but if you see some potential opportunities running at another track in some of those preps, you'll travel for those stakes. But you do see some important preps taking place down in Oaklawn Park as well, and another one who's had a lot of success at Oaklawn in the past, and good to see Joel back there.
So what does that mean for New York? Opportunities, certainly with Joel moving on for the winter and some new faces showing up here for the winter. Let's head downstairs to Maggie for more on the Jockey Colony here in New York.
Well, we have our mainstays, obviously Manny Franco, Kendrick Carmouche, Jose Lescano staying here, but also Flavien Prat, for instance, will remain here during the winter. So some potential star power, but how about Jamie Rodriguez shifting his tack from the Mid-Atlantic to ride back here in New York? He's a rider that started his career, had his apprenticeship in New York, and so for him, this is rewarding to get back here to this circuit as we see him aboard Bellezza there, who gave him his first and second graded stakes victories for Miguel Clement. But, you know, kind of sparred by that success that we saw glimpses of him riding here throughout the year. Now he's shifting his tack permanently. And what I glean from talking with horsemen is that Jamie's one of those guys that obviously works very hard in the morning, but is also very willing to, make a plan for a horse come to fruition, work closely with that horse in the morning, and then learn about them to ride them to the best of his advantage in the afternoons. And there's no doubt about it, he's also one of the more aggressive riders that we see on this circuit. Ricardo Santana, another one that comes to mind. But, if Jamie has a speed horse, he will put them on the front end. So welcome addition here, Greg, but a lot of new faces here at Aqueduct for the winter.
Indeed, let's take a look at the list of some of the new faces here. Obviously, Flavien Prat, he is going to stick around in New York to close out the year and into the winter. Ricardo Santana Jr., he's had such a huge impact, not just in terms of his success here, but in, I think, what riders are doing, too, how aggressive he is. Jamie Rodriguez, Maggie just touched on, and Sahin Savacci, unfortunately, reigning Sovereign Award winner, just announced he's going to be out for about a month, minor hairline fracture of the T4, T5 vertebrae.
Yeah, he's becoming the new Richard Migliori, isn't he? Came here last year and got injured and couldn't ride the rest of the winter with his back issues. Just sort of dropped yesterday, and honestly, we hope he comes back. He's a terrific rider. I really want him to come back soon.
He's been riding very, very well up at Woodbine.
Yeah.
I just tweeted out, from Dave Grenning on DRF, so we wish him a speedy recovery. Talented young man who, unfortunately last year, same thing, was not able to kind of get any momentum.
Right, and from what we've seen from him, he absolutely belongs to this colony. Any time of the year he could ride here.
But you look at that list, and who's here already anyway, loaded again.
It is. And I think for Flavien Prat, he realized that he spent so many weekends traveling. It's a lot easier to go to places like Oaklawn or Florida or the fairgrounds from New York than California. So I think it's a wise choice, and probably, I guess his kid's probably in school here, so glad to see he's around here. He's, his talents are obvious. We don't need to sing his praises. We do it on a daily basis.
And even though he's here right now, he's going to be shipping all over the place, probably chasing earnings along with Arad Ortiz Jr. down to the wire through December 31st, trying to get this earnings title, get another Eclipse Award.
Yeah, I imagine he'll be riding in California probably an opening day at Santa Anita. Always a fun day. I love opening day in Santa Anita, day after Christmas.
One of the great days in horse racing, no question. We're going to take a timeout, get some medical attention for Acacia. I thought I was the one who needed it. We'll be back.
I'm fine, in case you're wondering.
Manny Franco, defending home turf. Well stocked this afternoon and through the weekend. We'll be back with more right after this. Stay tuned.
$1,650,000, now $1,600,000. $1,600,000 in the day, $1,600,000 bid, now bid, now $650,000, $1,650,000, $1,650,000. Anybody else want $650,000 bid today, $1,650,000 and a half, $1,600,000. Thank you.
Quality at his core.
And core beliefs will come on and win it nicely.
By leading sire, Quality Road.
And here is Core Beliefs to take the lead. Core Beliefs on the outside. Here it is. Core Beliefs.
All the best attributes of his sire, a multiple graded stakes winner who's proven at the classic distance with tactical speed and a must-see physical.
It's Core Beliefs who digs his heels in to win the New Orleans Handicap.
Core Beliefs, standing at Walmack.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Weekends are for winners at Naira Bets. Opt into the Late Pick 5 hit and split bonuses to claim your share of $5,000 every Friday through Sunday. $5,000 hit and splits every weekend when you bet with Naira Bets.
Touch Gold swings into action on the far outside. They're at the top of the stretch. It is Silver Charm, unwavering, holding on tenaciously to the lead. Freehouse is right there with him. Touch Gold driving on the outside in the final furlong. Silver Charm holding the lead. Here comes Touch Gold and Freehouse. Silver Charm has lost the lead, and Touch Gold will deny him the crown.
What a Belmont Stakes. Touch Gold denying Silver Charm the Triple Crown, and he had been, for a few years, the oldest living Belmont Stakes winner. Sad to lose Touch Gold.
No, I loved Touch Gold. Loved him. And if it wasn't for his foot problems, he might have been remembered as one of the really, really good ones.
He had a foot problem going into that race.
Well, and he grabbing a quarter, stumbling coming out of the gate in the Preakness. He probably should have won the Preakness. And this was not a bunch of ragtag horses running these Triple Crown races. I mean, Captain Bodgen, unfortunately, the tendon finally caught up to him, and he was retired after the Preakness. But, I mean, Silver Charm was a tremendous horse. Freehouse got lost in the shuffle. Freehouse was a killer. If he was running now, they'd be talking about him like an all-time great or something. And Touch Gold was a really, really good horse. Unfortunately, his issues really kept him from being the kind of horse he could have been.
Yeah, and you're Bob Baffert. You think, oh wow, there's my chance to win a Triple Crown. It's over. I mean, they don't come around much, do they?
Well,
wound up having a few more chances at it and then winning 2 Triple Crowns.
It's also funny because this was a year after Cavanier got beat a Zop at the wire, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when Cavanier won saying that, because Bob was not that well known at the time, thinking, oh, that poor
Former
guy
quarter horse trainer,
just got beat in the nose in the Derby. He'll probably never get back to the Derby. He won it the next year. And then he won it the next year after that, right?
Yes, he did.
Yes. And a few years after that.
Passes away Touch Gold at the age of 31. Yeah, oldest living Belmont Stakes winner. Very good one. Let's get into race 2. 6 furlongs, condition $30,000 claiming race coming up in this spot. We talked about the horse to beat. We agree. Public does as well. Social Hour 6 to 5 with Christopher Elliott aboard. Just claimed now with the Orlando Nota Barn, claimed off of Rick Dutrow Jr.
This is probably one of the only times I could say Flavien Prat really kind of blew it. I mean, every rider's allowed to make mistakes, and I don't know what Flavien was so aggressive with this horse. He was not a need-the-lead type. They were moving up front. He pushed him into the pace, and it just fell apart and proved to be too much. I still think the horse ran extremely well when you consider the early move in there. We saw in Broken Chain come back and run well in a subsequent start. The horse who finished third, and I think that he's just going to be very, very hard to beat in here.
Running, with the 7 out especially.
Yes.
It just becomes his race to lose.
Listen, I would say the biggest concern, and I don't mean this as a criticism of the Notas, but this horse was claimed by Rick Dutrow. And if you worry about horses claimed out of very sharp barns, I would be a little bit worried about that. Other than that, he's just way the horse to beat.
6-5 right now. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And guys, I'm going to touch on those more short-priced horses once they get out on the racetrack. But taking a look at some horses that probably will drift up from their current odds, that I agree don't make that much sense on paper, and that includes number 4, Panagiotis, who will come in here to the NYRA circuit, at least listed as a first-time gelding, which you would think, given the layoff dating back to June. But getting back to a sprint race here on the dirt, which obviously this is what he wants to do. Now, his numbers are incredibly slow, and it's very tough to trust Penn National form, though he did break his maiden at Laurel. Honestly, he just looks best in here. And I know it's not a beauty contest, but sometimes when you have a horse that doesn't make that much sense on paper come in and look as well as this one does, well, it does pique my interest a bit, because it speaks to how well they're doing, which has then given their connections confidence to come into a spot like this. So like I said, this is a horse that he's big, even though he is a three-year-old in here, most of them are, but he has, he's well developed towards the tail end of this year and comes in strong and fit looking overall. As we'll move on to one that does step up here in class, but has raced at this $30,000 level before, and that's number 5, Complex Music, to make the rider Katie Davis on this one, who was wired by my man Maddie last time out for the 17.5. And yes, of course, I wish, this horse was running back at the 17.5 level to make him more competitive, but does have some go-back races to lean upon as well, and just looks really healthy in here. Great coat to him. Just these two horses I didn't particularly love on paper, but wow, Greg, they have made the best impressions here in the paddock.
All right, interesting. We'll keep that in mind as we get set. Thank you, Maggie, for the post parade here coming up. 6-5 favoritism, staying with Social Hour in here. We'll see what, Christopher Elliott now is going to be aboard for this new barn. First off the claim, what he chooses to do tactically with this horse.
Well, there's considerably less speed signed on this race than was signed on for his last race. There's no reason he shouldn't be stalking the 2 Aerostar.
This was a horse that last time out, Andy, we talked about this earlier with Flavien Prat aboard. I don't know if the horse was dragging him. It seemed Flavien was intent on getting him to the lead, and then he ended up getting run down late. He runs better when he can be forward. Maybe this gets the right spot for him, but it was a big move to take over and get onto the front end.
This is just a much softer spot, too, in a race that has a lot less speed on paper. If he runs back to his last race, he's very, very likely to win this race, much more likely than his current 6-5. The question is if you're concerned at all whether or not he's going to run back to that race.
This one, Aerostar, very quick early, and coming off a bullet drill, quickest in the morning, of 175 that worked.
Yeah, I don't look at those things, but okay. What are we looking at?
Just an interesting
They are
note.
tough. They're tough to read. Yeah, which is the hard part. But yes, he clearly did have very, very fast work.
I picked him 4th after the scratch of the 7.
This one, Andy, the Captain Jack Sparrow and Acacia, 2 back. Where'd that effort come from? And obviously did not back it up.
Well, he's never backed it up by any of his other races either, Acacia.
Yeah, he's a tough horse to trust, Captain Jack Sparrow. He does not have a right eye, so that's why you see him kind of run with his head turned. And I thought it was clever. Buck Butler, who previously owned and bred him, said he needed the name of a pirate, thus the name Captain Jack Sparrow. But he was able to get the win off the back of the maiden score, and I think it was the right spot for him, 2 back. And if he runs that race, he's definitely a player, but that's a big question, is if he can run back to it, though he was in over his head last time.
Well, I think you could also look and say he didn't really run back to those races for Mike Maker at all, first time in the Noda barn. And I think that's something you have to think about a little bit with the 6, who's now 3-5.
Post parade starts with the Pirate here. The one-eyed wonder for Orlando Noda, second off the claim.
If he runs his figure 2 back, he'll win. If he runs his other races, he won't.
And those other races that have been the
Every one of
7
them.
starts, yeah. Aerostar, the speed likely of the field.
He does have some forward position. That's definitely his benefit.
Free dance, Jose Lezcano.
I actually think this one's a little bit interesting. Taking a drop after being in an impossible spot last time. He's my other horse.
Coming in from Penn National, was in the Grade 3 Penn Mile on turf last start.
I was happy to hear that Maggie had good notes on him because I thought he was interesting. He did break his maiden for 45,000.
Complex Music, decent effort last out.
This horse comes out of a race that completely fell apart against much, much weaker horses. To me, he's a unlikely winner.
Steps up in class as well. And then the even money favorite, it was just odds on a moment ago.
Dragged his rider to the front, intent on getting to the lead last time. Let's see where he is tactically today. He is drawn outside.
Back to free dance. Chris Englehart barn. And 2 back, winner on a wet track at Finger Lakes.
Yeah, obviously that's a bit of a problem, but I think it's also arguable he's improved a little bit in his recent starts. You know, he ran a good figure on a sloppy seal track for Ray Handel. Then he had a little bit of a layoff, and I just think he was running as much, much better horses, and he fits well in this race.
He did break his maiden for 30,000, and that's where he was claimed, so it's not necessarily a total kind of give-up drop, and he didn't fit for the 50 last time. He was a big price that day, too.
And you say, yeah, I mean, faced some very good company here in New York and actually ran okay against them. So 6-1. We'll see if we're going to have yet another incredibly short price to kick off this pick 4 as well. But of the 2 short price, race 1, race 2. We already know, obviously, the 6-1.
Well, I was against the first one that won.
Okay.
And I'm on the one that's favored here, so you know how that's going to work out.
And I was the opposite, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see if this one winds up, I would, dipping below even money in here, but there are cases to be made for several. Surprised to see, I guess this 4 has made an impression. 7-1.
Acacia likes the 4. I'll let her talk about him. I don't like him.
Well, I just thought that he was a horse that broke his maiden at Laurel for 45,000, and then he was in some crazy spots, including the Penn Mile. Has been gelded, has not run since June, but I think it's almost a back to reality versus a give-up type of drop. And to Andy's point about Penn National shippers, he has at least been training at Belmont Park, and he did win at Laurel, showing he could win off that circuit.
Post time coming up in just a couple of minutes. Let's go back down to Maggie.
Yeah, I'm going to be the crazy person and pick Panagiotis here because, honestly, he just looks best. And I'm not particularly thrilled with what we see from your favorite in here, Social Hour, whom I get can win, especially on that strange ride we saw from Flavien Prat. I had to go back and watch it a couple times. Honestly, he sent this horse. It wasn't like he was, dragging him to the lead. He sent this horse after breaking a touch slow. So Christopher Elliott back aboard. And while he's outside, I do think he's going to have to deal with some other likely speed, especially from number 2, Arrow Star in here. And Social Hour, he looks incredibly fit, obviously, as he has. I wish he was carrying a bit more conditioning. He's a little bit long in the coat. He's just very, very calm as well, and a horse that I've seen in previous efforts for previous connections just be a lot more engaged, a lot more on the bridle, and he's just very quiet today, though we'll see what he does. Obviously, based upon his previous efforts, he's a major player. As number 3, Free Dance, I maintain that this is a horse who is a wet track horse. I've thought that since he began his career. I remember his dam. I used to ride her, and I thought the same thing about her, though I feel like we never got the opportunity to run her on a wet track. So he's not getting that today. And while I feel as though Chris Englehart has him looking really well for him, not one that has ever carried that much weight, kind of a leaner type of horse. That's with the bloodline, especially knowing his dam. But I just feel like he is best when he gets some moisture in the racetrack. So he is a generous 5-1 at least at the moment, Greg.
Here we go, even money for now. We'll see if this one dips below that, which may be the case here coming up. But Social Hour, the 6, the one to beat. But there are cases to be made for others in this spot. See what happens coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have a horse like this, much like in the first race. Now, I bet against the favorite in the first race. I was wrong, and I lost. That's the nature of betting the horses. You make decisions, and you're going to be wrong more often than you're right. But I think what I do as a handicapper is I handicap the race without that horse. You know, I look at the race and say, how would I play this race if that horse wasn't in there? And then I ask myself, is this horse a horse I could bet a few dollars on? Because I'm never going to pick a horse at a price and not bet a few dollars on it. I may pick a 4 to 5 shot and not bet it, but I'm not going to pick horses that are 4 to 1 or higher and not bet them. I don't think that's right. I think anybody that does that, frankly, is it's professionally dishonest. If you're going to give out long shots, you better be ready to lose your money on them, because you're telling other people, I want to bet on this horse, I like this horse, and you're not betting and they are, they're probably going to lose most of the time, so you need to bet them. In this case, I didn't find a horse I wanted to bet against the 6 with. The way I played the race was I bet a 6-3 exacta and a small reverse. And I bet some doubles with a 3 and 6, mostly the 6, into the 1 in the next race, a horse I'm a little interested in.
All right, here we go. About to load up, and yeah, back to odds on. Social hour here. We let Acacia go. Unfortunately, yeah, not feeling great. She was coughing a little bit, so we hope to see her back tomorrow. Hope she feels better. So it's you and me the rest of the way here.
Usually I'm the person making other people sick. In this case, Acacia might have been the person. It's rare.
She'll be fine.
She will be fine.
But yeah, needs some rest.
But
absolutely. Would have loved to have her here. Captain Jack Sparrow steps in, that tough one to read. Huge effort, 2 back, 7 other starts, nothing close to that. But if he can repeat that effort, he's right in the mix.
Our favorite kind of horse, Greg, a 1-number
Indeed.
horse.
Manny Franco from the rail, but the big favorite, Social Hour outside slot. As we kick off the pick 4 on this Friday card, let's send it upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Panayotis. Panayotis goes in. Complex Music. Complex Music. Katie Davis stepping forward. Social Hour. Last to load. And in. All set. And they're off. Complex Music has early speed down towards the inside. Arrow Star now with a neck advantage. Arrow Star is in front on the 4 outside Social Hour. A little keen here on the muscle, wants to go, and right there is Social Hour now in front. A little tough to handle for Christopher Elliott, wants to go. It's Social Hour who's trying to rip through this opening quarter. At the rail, that's Arrow Star. Just behind them, it's a lineup of 3. Captain Jack Sparrow is at the rail, yellow blinkers. Moving forward, here comes Panayotis, 22.77 for that opening quarter mile. In between horses, back there in 5th is Complex Music, and the trailer, Free Dance, starts a charge from the back, and Social Hour settled a bit in the turn, and Social Hour with a neck advantage. Arrow Star has been challenging throughout. Still that lineup of 3 in behind. Captain Jack Sparrow is called upon for the effort. Complex Music in between horses. Panayotis has got to pick it up, and Free Dance from the back. 46 flat was that half-mile time. Social Hour is cut loose, and Social Hour still got more. Head held high, but Social Hour is finding plenty so far and approaching a final 16th. Social Hour has a host of pursuers in behind, but the line is approaching for Social Hour to win it. Complex Music was second, Free Dance third, then came Arrow Star in 1 minute 10.63 seconds.
Social Hour, first off the claim victory here with Christopher Elliott.
I'm not sure this was winning like a heavy favorite should have, but he got it done as well. And it's funny how he runs. It seemed like Christopher Elliott was trying to sort of keep him together the whole way. And was he getting out a little bit? I don't know, but he got the job done, and he sort of dominated this field. I guess he found the right group. I can't believe my 3 didn't get second. What a hang job.
4 to 5, so odds on winners. First 2 races of the afternoon. I think we may see yet another one in race 4 with Gypsy Art.
That's a little bit trickier, that race. There are some, I agree that horse is the horse to beat, and I picked him, but there are some other horses that I think are dangerous in there.
4 in full beginning. Social Hour wins for the 3rd time, 14 career starts. And Christopher Elliott with the victory here on the odds-on favor. We're going to take a timeout. Who should be champion sprinter? the Pride of New Jersey, or the Breeders' Cup Sprint winner at a very limited campaign, to say the least.
The lead belongs to Epic Ride. He is showing them a clean pair of heels.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. And two very predictable winners in the first two races.
Yes, I managed to get one of them. I mean, I'll be honest. I think both of these horses, the way they won, I wouldn't knock anybody for having taken a chance against them, because I don't think either one of them were as impressive as they might have looked on paper, but he got it done. He was just better than these horses, but at the end of the day, he was in the right spot. And, you know, the noters were smart to claim for 30 and not move him up from there.
I mean, you salvage... what if Pratt had stayed aboard? This horse would have been what?
2 to 5. Yes.
In the end, goes off at 4 to 5.
They like to bet on Pratt. He wins a lot of races.
He does. Race 3, we move along, and a mandatory pay pick 5 starts here. 6.5 furlongs. New York Red Maiden Special Weight. Yet another race, not quite as heavily as the first two, but America's back. The 4, pretty heavy and deserving favorite, but 4 runner-ups now in 6 starts.
He's getting a little bit boring, isn't he? I mean, okay, Longport's pretty good, who beat him. He came back in a very good second 2 races later. It was a big speed track that got him beaten 2 races back. He lost to Train the Trainer on a big speed track, and Train the Trainer went on to win the New York Derby before he got hurt. He has had some excuses in his races. He's run against some good horses. On the other hand, he's been a short price in a lot of races and not getting it done. And every one of those races is a bit of a knock against him. So at a super short price, and he's going to be even money or less based on the doubles, I think he's beatable.
We'll get back to it. Going to break, we talked about an interesting vote that we're going to see for who should be sprint champion. Start with a horse who won it. 1 start September 13th of this year. They only start this year. Wins a stake impressively at Churchill Downs, non-graded stake, and then dominates in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
From a speed figure standpoint, both his win at Churchill and his win in the Breeders' Cup Sprint were the best, fastest races that these horses have run. Though there was one big fig for his chief competition, Bookham Dano. I don't like the idea of horses running twice getting the award. I can understand it in this case because Bookham Dano had a somewhat abbreviated campaign as well, and he didn't run in the Breeders' Cup.
What if I said to you, best team all year in the NFL decides they're not going to play in the playoffs. They're going to take it off. Do they serve to be champion at the end of the year?
Can you do that? You're allowed to do that? No, they don't. And, that's a funny way to put it because racing is different than that. I mean, I understand your argument, but racing is different. And I think there are a lot of things the Breeders' Cup has done that have hurt racing. And it's played in the hands of trainers who run their horses less frequently. We see the good horses run less often. But I don't think that all the Breeders' Cup is the be-all and end-all. There are important races through the year. If Bookham Dano had won the Churchill Downs Sprint, and he didn't win the award, it would be a travesty. Yeah. Now, I happen to think he ran the best race, but the problem with awards is they're not about who ran the best race. They're not about what I think ran the best race. They're about wins. But he did put together, now, the Vanderbilt got downgraded from a grade 2 to a grade 1. So he won that race.
They both have one grade 1 win.
Right, I get it. But he's got this race, he's got the big race in the race at Saratoga, the True North.
I'll say this, to win 3 times in a calendar year at Saratoga, pretty impressive. And, a little bit different because of having to revamp the schedule.
Well, he faced all of the best horses that could run all year long, whereas Ben Tornado had that first start at Churchill, and he beat a relatively soft field. And then he beat a decent sprint field, not a great field, but a decent field. But he did it the right way. I'm not knocking. Ben Tornado's terrific.
Yeah.
And I think if Bookham Dano had been in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he wouldn't have beaten him. And I wonder if it's more than just, maybe he's a horse that's got some issues and he's not come in. I love Bookham Dano, so I'm incredibly
Great story.
biased.
He's been so fun.
We're friendly with the owners. You and I have been like fans of his since he was a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So for me, if I was going to vote from my heart, Bookham Dano would be a cinch to win this award because I really like him. I like his connections. I think this is one time where unfortunately, Ben Tornado's going to win. In case anybody's wondering, they want to bet me at even money, I'll take Ben Tornado for whatever you want. Because the voters don't really pay attention to the year. They put too much on the Breeders' Cup. I will say in this particular year, I don't think Ben Tornado's a bad choice. He is pretty damn good. I mean, he's legit.
Yeah.
So is Bookham Dano. We love Bookham Dano. And I think we would vote for him. And I think one of the reasons that we could have a vote. You and I could become members of the Turf Writers Guild and have votes. But we work for the New York Racing Association, and I think there are some inherent biases in doing that. And I don't believe that people that work at racetracks should be allowed to vote. Because even if you don't think so, you're going to have some inherent biases. And I think when I came down to it, I probably would have voted for Bookham Dano. And part of the reason would have been a personal bias. So for that reason, I don't vote, because I don't think it's the right thing to do.
All right.
I'm not speaking for myself.
I would like people who follow the sport a lot more closely.
Yes.
To have those votes.
Well,
I feel like I can remove myself. I know you, and I know you can't.
I can't.
So
well, here's what I would say about the voters. Every single year, there are a handful of votes for horses first in categories that wouldn't be 41st. Those people should lose their vote.
There's some very irresponsible
voters. Get rid of those voters. They have no right to vote. They're given a great privilege, and they don't take it seriously.
Yeah. Totally agree. Feature early on our coverage.
I think you just took a shot at me. I'm a little hurt. I'm going to cry during this break.
It was sort of a compliment, though, as well. How much you love New York. Feature race notebook still coming up. And we'll talk key scents from yesterday. George Weaver continues to have success with his youngsters.
Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
And then again, $410,000.
There's your winner, $410,000.
$400,000.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the NyraBets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the NyraBets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with NyraBets.
He possessed such natural athleticism.
It is Golden Pal winning the juvenile turf sprint.
He's very, very agile and quick.
Golden Pal has repelled the challenges.
Each and every race, he just got better and better.
Golden Pal broke like a rocket. Golden Pal, wire to wire.
He's a very confident horse.
Golden Pal, the lead is out to 5 lengths in deep stretch.
He's just got a brilliant mind.
They're all behind Golden Pal.
I'm going to be breeding everything I have to him.
Spine-tingling, jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, secretariat-like.
Sequel New York Stallion Honest Mischief is sired by 4-time champion General Sire Into Mischief, and 3 of his half-siblings are stakes winners. The sire of his dam is Triple Crown winner Seattle Slew, and her dam is the Blue Hen Mare Tussaud. Honest Mischief's female family is a proven sire-producing family, including Empire Maker and Chester House. Honest Mischief showed both precociousness and speed in a career that saw him earn a career-high buyer figure of 112. And the stallion manager hopes Honest Mischief also passes along his good mind.
I do think he's going to become a great stallion. You know, he has all the right aspects to it. You know, he's a very well-balanced horse. You know, he's a decent size. I think if he can pass that along, he should produce some pretty nice horses.
Start with an advantage. Get yourself a New York bred. Go to nybreds.com for more information on the program. We had a New York bred stake yesterday, Key Sense, and George Weaver, She's Country. Javier Castellano wins by a head.
This was a tremendous race, and it was really falling apart at the end, because you're going to see the 2 horses that are like 3rd and 2nd to last moving on the outside are going to almost get up, the 2 and 4. But, I mean, the winner looked beaten, didn't she? I mean, right here, she's 3rd.
Yeah.
They've gone by her, and she comes back for Javier. A very strong stretch drive to nose out his buddy Kendrick Harmouche at the end, with the number 4, Boomington, moving just a little too late. Good race.
And don't see that a lot, where this one seemingly starting to drop out of the picture and then re-rallies between horses for the win. But George Weaver continuing to weave that magic with his 2-year-olds on the grass.
George has had yet another very, very good year. Breeders' Cup win as well.
With Cy-Fair beating the boys, that's another category. I mean, should that one get some recognition maybe?
Oh, no.
No?
I think the idea of giving it to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner is about as idiotic a notion as I've ever heard. And I think she's terrific.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with with some of the connections with Reagan Swinbank, who's a terrific guy, and I'm thrilled for him. But I could never give it to a horse like that. Though I don't disagree with people that it is a flawed 2-year-old champion division. You can't give it to Tommy Joe. In giving it to the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, it's not that easy also.
Maiden win, and then, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Yeah. So I guess she gets votes by default. So their argument is not a terrible one. I just would have trouble voting for her.
Race 3, start of a mandatory pay, pick 5. And again, another heavy favorite here. America's back. Odds on in here, Mike Maker, Pratt, and again, the seconds are starting to accumulate at an alarming rate, as is the burned up money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little hard to do. Now, he should get some pace to run at in this race, so maybe he can stalk a little bit, and that'll work out for him. But, he's got some rivals. I mean, the 3 could run better. I think the 6 Guilty is a major, major threat, and Guilty should be the outside stalker with counter move and America's back up front. And I don't think America's back can rate that well. The problem I have with Guilty, who I think is a huge, huge threat here, is well, last time was the time horse. Was this at almost 25 to 1, over 25 to 1?
I don't have a title for her yet, but like Madonna, if you just say Wolfendale, everyone knows who you're talking about.
Or Maggie. I just say Maggie, and they all know. It's a fair point.
Yeah, I prefer just Maggie. Because it gets a little confusing of my last name. Legally, I am Morley, but on this show, I am Wolfendale. Anyway, let's take a look here at a long shot number 3. Counter move is a big price up there, but it's definitely part of the pace scenario in here, as he is second off a layoff for George Weaver and was in a tough spot, I thought, kind of vying for that lead in that common race with Guilty, who just obviously broke a bit better, and it was just more comfortable being out in the 2 path and not being hounded from the outside. And while he's incredibly sharp here again, we'll see what kind of trip Jose Lezcano is able to pull off with him as he climbs back aboard, where he actually ran fairly well, I thought, earlier on in his career. So maybe he also needed to start. I wasn't in the paddock for that September 19th common race, but he looks fit here. And boy, is he sharp. As we'll move on to the outside duo. And speaking of some more speed, number 6, Guilty, provided that last time. I agree with Andy. It's a tough pill to swallow when he was 25 to 1 last time, but boy, does he look sensational here. And his previous trainer, Paul Barrow, does a wonderful job. His horses are generally really well turned out. Sorry, I stuttered there because I just noticed he has a massive growth in the middle of his nose. Sometimes it's like a calcified type of thing. I've had horses that have them on their forehead and they kind of look like horns. But anyways, his is right in the middle of his nose, which is very awkward and somewhat distracting when I noticed it and talking about him. But just a really well-built horse. I mean, he is a tank here, and a son of Twirling Candy. Lovely pedigree for this New York bred, Roddy Valente and the Belinsky homebred. But look for him to be forward again, and now he gets the opportunity again to do it from the outside in a more comfortable spot. Is on it, but not expending too much energy. Whereas number 7, Poppy's Ticket, remember, he took a ton of money, and maybe it was Rod Ortiz money back on May 4th, but he was wired that day. I thought he could be fairly quick when he made that debut. He's just built that way. He's massive hindquarters. You know, he's this ball of energy that's just looking to be released here yet again as he comes off of a layoff. But ultimately, he broke well. Then he was in a tight spot in the rail. He kind of had to take back a little bit, and when he tipped outside, he was able to re-rally behind that gate to wire winner and detail oriented. Now coming back here, he looks about 90% fit. Wish he looked a little bit more tucked up, but at least he gets to do it from the outside today here. Greg, look for him to be another runner that should be forward in this spot.
Thank you, Maggie. 6 to 1 outside. Start number 2. Took money first time out. That was back in May. Has had time to mature, and you can always forgive a debut. Could be a totally different story in start number 2, but also 2 has not got to build off it.
I don't like this horse at all. I think he comes out of an absolutely dreadful race first time out. He spent most of the race in the rail, which was the best place to be, and I know he did a little bit of running. He took money in there. I just thought he was in a terrible field first time out. Maybe he'll run better. I have a lot of respect for Chris Englehart and gets Ricardo Santana. I don't agree with Maggie. I don't agree that he's going to be forwardly placed, but maybe he will be. We'll see. Ricardo is certainly aggressive, so maybe he puts him more in the game. But the 3, 4, and 6 are all clearly faster. I think the 2 is too. So I don't know, but I don't know if he needs to be forwardly placed to win this race. I just he's not for me. Doesn't mean he can't win.
Let's look at this one here. Guilty debuted on grass. That did not go well. Moved to dirt, start number 2, and yet was very quick early. Hung around 2 at 6.5 furlongs. She just lose by a neck at 25 to 1.
I have an endless amount of respect for people who try to put horses over and are successful. Now, they weren't successful here. This was clearly a put-over attempt, but they came pretty damn close to putting him over. And the horse that beat him in there, Mozambique, came back and ran pretty well in a subsequent start. This was a very, very tough beat for a horse who ran way too well to lose. And I absolutely think that he is, if you want to try to beat the 4, there is no question in my mind that he is the second likeliest winner of this race. Having said that, he was 25-1 last time, and today you're going to get around 3 or 4-1. I just can't bet horses like this. To me, last time was the time for him if you liked him. But he can win this race. I just don't love those kind of situations.
Well clear of the third-place finisher. That was Too Honest Mischief, who he'll meet again, who's a big long shot. That was first time putting blinkers on as well. With more on Spiteful Storm. Let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, Spiteful Storm just had a quick repair here to secure his bridle. The headstall, which attaches to the bit, the buckle was coming undone. So nothing that electrical tape can't help. And so he's just to make sure it's secure. They wanted to make sure that was on. So riders about to get back up here again. And Andy, I know you disagree with me regarding the 7. I'm looking at from a way a horse is behaving perspective. This horse is acting like a bull in the china shop. So usually when they act like this, they do tend to have at least a bit of early foot.
See what happens here for start number 2 and coming off some time away too. We'll see if he's a little more fresh out of the gate and showing some zip. As we kick off our post parade with Kaz Oil Changer, who faced a couple of really good ones, including Iron Dome in start number 2.
I like a horse cutting back that I think is going to get a reasonable amount of pace in front of him. He's run some fast figures. He's met some good horses, and I picked him. I thought he was a little interesting.
We'll get back to Spiteful Storm. Here's Counter Move, George Weaver.
It's a horse who ran very well, but he lost back-to-back races at odds on. Came back, got involved in the pace with Guilty, and was terrible.
Big price, though. America's back, odds on Pratt for Maker.
Counter Move is a big price if you like him. America's back is the horse to beat, but he certainly has share of chances at short prices.
Tough to see the 5, Too Honest Mischief.
13 starts and only 7 thirds to show for it.
Maybe the quick of the quick, Guilty.
I have no problem with him being a major player in here. I just can't bet horses that were 25-1 that are going off at about 1/6 or 7th the price the next time.
And then Poppy's Ticket debut came back in early May.
No, right now our biggest interest is to see if he has speed.
And Spiteful Storm late to the party. Here he is.
I loved this horse last time, and he was awful. He got an absolutely perfect trip and went backwards. His race 2 back, though, is good enough to give him a chance, so maybe he'll run better today.
All right, let's try and look at the positives with the odds-on favorite. America's back. We'll show you his most recent start. As you said, the horse who won this race, pretty good.
Yeah, the positives are he hasn't run bad. I mean, he was victimized by a track bias 2 back. He ran against a killer and Train the Trainer 3 back. He ran against Longpour, who's come back and subsequently run well in a subsequent start. He's met some good fields, but he's still lost at even money, 2-5, 7-2, 9-5, 3-1. He's piling up losses at short prices, and every time you do that, it's a bit of a knock against you. And I also think he's running in a fairly competitive field here, Greg.
Yeah, it looks like there's some talent here. He's faced some pretty good horses, though, too, not just that last race.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sane argument that he's not the horse to beat. I don't think anybody's going to sit here and tell you, oh, he's a terrible 3-5. He's the horse to beat. I just think there is also a sane argument that you might want to look elsewhere at that kind of price.
When's the last time we've had a card kick off with 3 odds-on favorites?
Probably, unfortunately, much more recently than you might think, but how about them winning? We've started out, I mean, we had a day here recently,
no, that's what I meant.
Right,
Yeah,
where there were 3 heavy favorites that all lost the first 3 races. These horses are winning. I think in this particular race, wouldn't you agree this is the most competitive of the 3 races we've looked at? The first 2 horses were horses, if they ran their races, they were going to win. Why are we so sure this horse runs his race, he's going to beat Guilty? Are we sure the 1 doesn't have better races in him? The 3's run well in the past and is a big price. I think the 7, I don't like the 7, but Maggie has some good things to say about him. I have a smart friend who likes this horse, so I certainly respect that. I just don't particularly like him, but I think this is a little bit more wide open than the first 2 races. The first 2 races were you're betting against them because you have reasons to believe they aren't going to run their race. I don't know why
it was a bit of a red flag, dropping from 25 to 10 when the horse had run good for Linda Rice in the opener. Yeah, I would agree with you.
And the horse didn't run very well. He ran like Linda put him in the right race.
Let's go back to Maggie.
And plus, these are more lesser known commodities than what we were dealing with in the first two races. You know, there's a little less form to go on when you're looking at maiden field. So there's every opportunity for other horses to step up and run a faster race than what they have in the past. As America's Back, I don't know. I get the excuses. I was a little disappointed in what he did last time. I thought he had every opportunity to run by Longport, talent as it may be, but the talent was there at least prior to that race for America's Back, and he just honestly, to my eye, looked like he hung a bit. And furthermore, this is a horse that when he began his career was this big, bulky type of animal, and while he's tucked up and gotten more fit, I would still like him to be carrying a bit more weight than what he is today. He's gotten a great warm-up. He's moving incredibly well out there, but in the face of several of these others, I thought maybe I ranked him fourth upon appearances. So 3 to 5, he can win. I feel like I've been against every favorite so far on the card, Greg, and they've all won. So may that trend continue. But I'm going to take Guilty here, who I thought just ran so well, was so game, and really has the looks to back that form up.
7-2, yeah, Guilty ran very good. First on dirt, first with blinkers, and could be the speed of the speed here. That was at 6.5 furlongs distance we're going today. As we look at sort of the unknown quantity here, because we have not seen Kaz Oil Changer the 1 in a dirt sprint race or any kind of sprint race for that matter.
And that's why I picked him. You know me, I'm a sucker for turnbacks. This horse first time out, I don't think the buyer figure reflects how well he ran that day. It was a slow race, but he really ran well on top of a pace that collapsed, going 9 furlongs first time. He ran to Iron Dome, who, you know, is a
very good
won the
3-year-old.
Albany 2 starts later, and then, you know, ran second in the Oklahoma Derby. He beat Undisputed, who buried him the next start, but something must have gone wrong on August 15th. Then he's off for 2 months. They decided to take a shot in the turf. That's okay. Turf season coming to a close. They wanted to, you know, sort of check a box. Now he's got that race. He turns back. I think there's going to be at least a little bit of pace in here. I thought he was a bit interesting. Listen, I'm alive in the double. This horse is like 25 to 1 in the double. It's almost paying $80+ for $2 with a 4 to 5 in the first leg. So I already feel like I've got value. And for me, if I've got value, I don't even care when I lose.
Here's Spiteful Storm, Jimmy Bonbarn, Manny Franco. There's quite a few lengths to make up on several in here, including America's Back. That's the big favorite, the 4, with Pratt. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Spiteful Storm. Just hesitating briefly right in behind the gate. Now goes in. Counter move. Jose Lezcano, they'll be next. Here is counter move. America's Back. To Honest Mischief. Eric Cancel aboard. There's To Honest Mischief. Guilty. Guilty. Javier Castellano. And Poppy's Ticket. Ricardo Santana Jr. to the outside. And in. All set. And they're up. In between horses, counter move has got early speed. America's Back lining up here on the front end. America's Back. Flavien Pret now puts a half length on the field. Back to second is going to be counter move. They're followed to the outside by Guilty, who's now a shared second and third. Out wider, Poppy's Ticket in fourth. Moving forward, Purple Silks is To Honest Mischief, just past Spiteful Storm, who's back in behind horses, just having to steady. And the trailer, Kaz Oil Changer. America's Back has the lead. It's America's Back who's up by a length and a half, 22.35 for the opening quarter mile and into the turn. The short price favorite is now shoved along here. America's Back trying to keep up towards the outside comes Guilty. To Honest Mischief had that sustained rally. The big long shot is in third from the back. Spiteful Storm. Counter move has dropped out of it quickly. Poppy's Ticket is under the shove from the back of the field. Kaz Oil Changer, 45.47 for that half mile time. They've got a quarter mile left to go. America's Back is the leader. America's Back is up by 2.5, almost 3. Extending the margin, To Honest Mischief is the one within range. The long shot is coming after the favorite. A furlong left to go, and America's Back's got to look out. To Honest Mischief catching with every single stride. America's Back needs the line. To Honest Mischief lunging. America's Back holds on. America's Back wins it over To Honest Mischief. Then came Poppy's Ticket, then Spiteful Storm in 1 minute 16.62 seconds.
Not a very impressive maiden-breaking win with To Honest Mischief, who was 0 for 13 coming in, making this tight late. But he breaks his maiden.
I will say one thing. And I agree. This is not a horse. Another race where it didn't win like a 3 to 5 shot should, and certainly lost a horse that's almost impossible to make on paper. But To Honest Mischief ran a huge improved effort and almost got it done for Chris Englehart. And they beat the rest of the field by a city block. So I don't know that America's Back ran badly in winning. I think the 5 just ran exceptionally well in finishing second. This is one of the things that has separated Flavien Prat from a lot of other riders. He is not afraid to be very aggressive. This did not look like a race where you expected to see him too clear, but he was decisive. He said, I'm riding the best horse. I might lose this race, but I'm not losing it by, sort of letting other horses get in the race. He went to the front. Now, I think it's reasonable to ask, if you bet the 6, why wasn't Javier more aggressive with him? I don't quite get it. Was the winner going a little too fast for him? Did Javi think, I don't want to get involved? I'm not looking to beat up on him. He obviously didn't run a step, the 6. The 6 clearly needs the lead to win. In here, and this was a decisive ride by him, and that's why he won. But there are also a lot of horses that maybe on paper could have run that simply didn't show up in here, and that includes Counter Move and certainly includes Guilty, who cannot win rating.
4, 5, 7, 2, odds on to kick off this Friday card. Let's go to Maggie.
And I think Flavien Prat, recognizing the fact that it looks as though this horse had hung a bit in his races. And I think, the best alternative to horses that don't necessarily want to pass others is to put them on the lead. And so that way, that's why he was resolute in getting him to the lead, which secured this win. And yeah, some other horses just didn't respond to having dirt kicked in their face. And they, in the end, all were chasing America's Back. And he finally breaks through here in race number 7 for Mike Maker and Flavien Prat, guys.
So America's Back after 4 runner-ups in 6 starts on the front end. Able to eke one out here. He had that first win of his career. We're going to take a timeout. Look to Sunday action coming up. John Terranova in the Pebbles for 3-year-old fillies. Fast Market just missed the Grade 2 Sands Point last start. Can she break through? Stay with us.
Welcome to the 2025 Keeneland September Yearling Sale, where history was made when Three Chimneys Gunrunner, the sire of 2025 Grade 1 winners Sierra Leone, Locked, and Brent, became the first horse in the history of the Keeneland September Sale to sire the session topper of each of the first 4 sessions. Among them was the $3.3 million sale topper, purchased by Peter Brent, M.V. Magner, and Winchell Thoroughbreds. Gunrunner, Breed Shaper, Dream Maker.
Back with you on our Friday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you by America's Best Racing. Making the sport easier to follow. Explore stories, betting tips, and race day insights at americasbestracing.net. America's back. Pratt, Mike Maker. Is Pratt going to go back-to-back for the Eclipse Award?
Well, he's riding for Chad Brown, so no surprise Norris is taking money. He's going to have to run well to beat
No, I meant
Chips.
for the Eclipse Award.
Oh. I guess he's probably a slight favorite over Irad, but I think it could change, right? Depending on what happens in some big races later in the year. I don't think last year, you knew he was going to get it.
Yes.
I don't think it's fair to say this year he's had a substantially better year than Irad.
It is close.
I think we're just lucky to have two guys like that riding. Now I know Irad moved his tack to Kentucky, and we won't see much of him outside Saratoga. But he's still a good rider.
Should his 7-day win move the needle a little? It's never been done on the circuit.
No.
No, not at all.
I mean,
it should be a non-factor in your eyes.
No, it's not a non-factor. I guess in a very tight race, it's a fair argument that it matters. In a race last year, it wouldn't have mattered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would have been just another great day for
Never been done.
That's a fair point to say.
Not to say it's an overriding factor.
I remember when Angel won 6 races. Now, it was a 9-race card back when I was a kid, Angel Cordero. And I remember his picture being on the front page of the New York Times. Cordero wins 6 at Aqueduct. I mean, it was a different time and a different game. But you think about Angel Cordero, one of the greatest to ever ride horses.
I looked at this race. I had to do a double take to see that it actually was a maiden special weight race. Gypsy Art, Wesley Ward, in 2 stakes races to start his career. Yes, he's still a maiden. Just was third to Cy Fair, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf.
And he was involved in a pace that collapsed. The other thing I'll say is this horse, as some may remember, was entered in a stake on Sunday, and because he was re-entered on Friday, he had to be scratched. It wasn't Wesley Ward's fault. I remember saying then Wesley would rather run the stake because this looks like a tougher maiden race than the stake.
Really?
Yeah, this is a tougher. The stake came up 4 horses outside of him. This is a very, very tough maiden race.
Okay.
You don't think?
We'll see what happens.
You think he can't lose? I picked him. I'm not against him.
I think he's going to win, but yeah, there's a couple interesting horses for sure. But I think he's going to be, it should be pretty heavy.
The
favorite.
2 and 8 both ran well first time out.
You got a first-time starter.
There's a
Miguel
big story
Clement.
on the 3 who's taking a lot of early money.
And at some point, all these favorite, they're not going to keep winning all day. You would think.
Famous last words.
Let's
hey, Greg, did you know 9 favorites won yesterday?
Pebbles on Sunday. Who was Pebbles? How about the first British-trained horse ever to win a Breeders' Cup race? Philly beating the boys, supplemented for $240,000, beating the Australian champion Strawberry Road by a neck in course record time.
I believe that was Pat Ettery.
Yes.
Was that Pat Ettery riding, and the great Steve Cawthon riding Strawberry Road, and the great Richard Migliori riding the 3rd-place finisher, who nobody remembers but was a big price. She was quite the horse, Pebbles, and that was a pretty exciting Breeders' Cup. So was Strawberry Road. He was a good stallion as well.
First Philly to win the Eclipse Stakes, then beat an incredibly strong field later on in the Champion Stakes. What a performer. And yeah, made the right call with that supplement, huh?
Don't you love it? The first 2 Breeders' Cups were at Hollywood Park and Aqueduct.
Yeah.
Hollywood Park posted 3 and 2 of the first 4.
Here's the Pebble Stakes coming up on our Sunday card. Early action race 3, 1:10 Eastern start time. And we talked fast market going to break for John Terranova, coming off a maiden win, took 9 starts to get that first win. And then first time against winners, nearly wins a grade 2.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a last time was the time. She didn't win. She was a huge price. And now she's going to be favored in here, but she's good. I mean, there's no question about it. There's an argument that she got a better trip, I think. I'm sorry. The winner got a better trip than she did in here. She ran a winning race this day. She's way the horse to beat. The biggest impediment for her might be the horse outside of her, Peak Hype, who ran extremely well, winning in a non-winners of 1 for Chad Brown last time.
We're going to show you right now. Yeah, for Chad Brown, Ricardo Santana Jr. will ride. He was aboard for the win last time out. 2 wins the last 3 starts.
This is some performance because you watch this horse sitting towards the back. I mean, the rider has no choice. I think it was Ricardo.
Yes.
But to go 4 wide, he didn't want to. And he gets pushed out 5 wide here, making this run. And as you're going to see, the winner, who was pretty good, who I think may have been the favorite, gets away from the top of the stretch. And this horse just loses ground and loses position. And her close is absolutely relentless getting it done here and is going to end up sort of drawing away to the win late. I thought this was an extremely impressive performance by a horse who was clearly getting better for Chad Brown, and she is a major, major threat to the fast market off this race. She's going to have an easier trip in here just by the fact that it's only a 6-horse field. She can't get that kind of trip.
Santana, retains the mount back aboard for the stakes debut coming up for a barn that has started near, not quite, but near 40% at this meet.
Yeah, I think you could argue that this summer, while Chad Brown tied for the trainer title in Saratoga, he did not have a great meet by his standards. By anybody else's standards, it was great. But he didn't win a high percentage. He had numbers. He won the last race to tie Todd Pletcher, who finished like gangbusters. But I don't think it was the kind of meet that we've seen Chad have in Saratoga in past years. But since that Saratoga meet, his horses have been nearly unbeatable, winning at over 30%, I think, since Saratoga.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back pointing to stake for 2-year-olds with a huge pedigree. Courting full to Clairiere, who was a multi-millionaire for Steve Asmussen at Stone Street. Stay with us.
Anybody else want $650,000 bid today? $1,650,000 $1,600,000. Thank you.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished third.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Here comes Clairiere now on the outside with Malathaat, 1/8 of a mile to the finish. Search Results is all out to hold on to the lead. Malathaat and Clairiere bearing down on Search Results. Here comes Malathaat. Here comes Clairiere on the outside. They're coming to the finish, and it's going to be Clairiere.
Multiple Grade 1 winner, 3-time millionaire Clairiere, homebred for Stone Street. Daughter of Curlin, trained by Steve Asmussen. What a performer.
And I think it's great that you showed the best race that Search Results ever ran, because she dueled Latrusca to the ground and still almost won this race. I love Clairiere. She was a tremendous racehorse, won her debut going long and continued on and just had a great career running well from start to finish. She was just really, really good. She had the misfortune of being in Malathaat, running against Malathaat too often.
You know, a full to Clairiere. Being pointed now to the Remsen in the next start on Cigar Mile Day.
And they worked him 1/8 of a mile after the race, and I think his 1 1/8 time was around 1:49.1. Now keep in mind, that's a 1-turn 1 1/8. It's very different than the 2-turn race we run here, so you can't compare those times. It was a slow pace, so his 75 buyer is not that surprising. You couldn't get a big figure when you have a slow pace. I thought his post-race interview with John Velasquez and Maggie was the best post-race interview we've done, maybe ever. That Johnny was really, really interested in talking about this horse basically being a work in progress. when you cost $5 million, I don't care what your pedigree is, they're going to be talking about you, and they're going to be talking about you as a potential Derby horse. We'll see if he can improve enough to be one.
Look at the lineup for Cigar Mile Day, December 6th. Of course, the big one, worth $500,000, and then 2 big preps as we get set to turn the page to the Oaks and Derby.
I didn't realize the New York bred stakes were that day. I'll be in Jamaica. Sorry to miss these races. I really enjoy that day. We'll be going out to Jamaica for the 3rd year this year. I will be here next year for these races, though. I'm not missing these anymore.
I've said this before. If you're a true New York advocate, and there's no way you miss this day.
I agree. I agree. I hate having to leave.
And you're not
for
going to
it.
be here.
Well, you know, I like the people in Jamaica. I like supporting their race and going down there. I felt a sense of obligation, to be honest. I am sorry to miss it.
No, you are loved there.
It pains me to miss that day, and I wish they would move their race to another day. I don't want to miss that day anymore, and this will be the last year I'm missing it.
I'm kidding. Have a good time in Jamaica.
No, I know you're kidding. I've worked with you for how long?
At some point.
I agree with you, though. You're right. You know what you said wasn't wrong.
At some point, the favorites are going to stop winning today. Is this the race that happens? Gypsy Art, no question, deserves. I'm surprised this horse is not a shorter price in here.
Well, I think this is the toughest race for a favorite we've seen because there's an unknown like the 3, and both the 2 and 8 ran very well first time.
Let's go to Maggie.
The last time.
Yeah, I'm going to be sad to miss Cigar Mile Day too, but then again, some Jamaica weather. It'll be nice. So we'll take a look, at some horses who are coming in from out of town. And it's funny because all the 2, 5, and 8 literally look like each other. I mean, they're all short, kind of more squat, compact, quarter horse-esque chestnuts. As we'll start with Gypsy Art, who I thought ran very well behind eventual Breeders' Cup juvenile turf sprint winner in Sci-Fair, where he battled between, he finished best of any of the 3 horses battling for the lead, where Sci-Fair took back, swung out, and ran on. And it was a good effort considering he's a maiden and has only exclusively run in stakes races. So first time against a true field of maidens here for this guy, who's just incredibly well muscled, very professional here in the paddock. Sometimes you get these Wesley Ward horses coming in from out of town, especially speedy types turf sprinting, and they're a little bit wild, but not this guy at all. Gypsy Art, very professional, very focused. The only concern I have is that he's going to try for the 6 furlongs here, and while there's some pedigree to say that, you know, it'll be fine, physically I question it. This guy's he's just very short-legged and very compact, and I wonder if this is going to stretch him a bit. As we'll move on to number 2, Evo Ready, a little bit of a bigger sort considering that he has been going a mile in both of his efforts so far. And last time he had to be kind of asked by Flavien Prat to go forward from that far outside post just to ensure a good spot. But when Flavien did that, it kind of set this horse off, and he just ran freewheeling on the front end, and probably, well, he ran very well. He just didn't conserve as much energy as he might need. And we've seen Chad do this several times with these types of horses. So any inclination to get a bit rank is mitigated by turning back, and he actually does look as though a turn back is warranted looking at him physically. Yeah, a little taller, a little bit more scope than the aforementioned Gypsy Art, but not by that much. And he is sharp and feeling good here in the paddock, as he's been one of the culprits of some misbehavior here. As we'll take a look at number 8, Chasing Freedom. He had a lot of speed from the outside post in his first start at Keeneland, but another one that got run down. Now, granted, he was beaten by a horse who had run 3 times before, and the horse who was just behind him was also one that had experience, who was the favorite that day. So I think that effort is credible. He definitely looks like a turf sprinter, but kind of same thing with him as with Gypsy Art. Are they going to get better with more ground? And considering both of them have some speed here, does look incredibly fit for this second start for Rob Atras. And then the first-time starter, number 3, Blazing Blazing Tiger. Boy, I like this son of Twirling Candy. The dam, she was 3 for 8 turf sprinting in New Zealand, albeit, and he definitely looks like a turf sprinter. Man, he has a massive engine on him. He looks so strong behind the saddle and looks incredibly fit here. I like what I'm seeing from this guy. Now, he has been sharp. He's been eager. It's not necessarily Miguel Clement's MO to have them, blast off to the lead. I hope he can break forwardly and sit, because it does feel like there's some other confirmed speeds in here, guys.
Here comes the post parade. We start with a first-time starter from the rail, Overseer.
Default to a horse that won on the turf, and the dam was a 6-time winner on the turf, so there's plenty of turf pedigree. It's just a tough-looking field.
Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt, cut back in distance, Eva Ready.
I have to think this horse is very dangerous. Chad has good success turning back horses in these kind of maidens, so I think this horse can win. He just may have found...
probably Eva Ready. Blazing Tiger, the Miguel Clement first-time starter.
Eva? Wouldn't it be Eva?
Ever Ready? Ever Ready?
Oh. There's a lot of stories that the number 3 can run, so I'm not going to be surprised when this horse is good.
John Terranova, first-time starter, Tail Risk.
Half to 3 turf winners, 6 to try it. There's pedigree. Once again, there's just a lot of horses in here that can run.
Gypsy Art just ran 3rd to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner.
First time running a maiden special weight in its 3rd start.
Bod Beach, first time on grass.
Not a lot of turf pedigree in a horse that would need to improve significantly.
The Markinator has a hint of turf pedigree.
This one's not. Second dam was pretty good, actually.
Chasing Freedom, Rob Atris ran good in the turf debut at Keeneland.
I'm surprised this horse is the 3rd choice. I think it's a connection situation, the story on the 3 as well, because this horse sprinting in the turf ran very well first time out, and I'll tell you something. He might just be the speed of speed. This horse is quick.
Yeah. Is it a bad sign this 5 is 9 to 5, or you feel it's that tough a race?
I think it's that tough a race.
Okay.
And I think the fact that you have a firster that's taking this much money is keeping it up. And then you've got Chad Brown and the 8 that ran so well first last time, and both those horses ran at Keeneland. There's a lot going on in this race. The underlay on the board right now is not these horses. It's the 6 at 11 to 1. Who's looking at this horse and taking 11 to 1?
Yeah.
So I would say that's the most over bet horse in the entire race.
Yeah, 5 starts, has hit the board 4 of those 5, all on dirt. Couple for maiden optional claiming. One a restricted maiden special.
He's got to improve on the turf to win. He's got really
not
no.
a ton of
I mean,
pedigree.
he's at Omaha Beach, so there is pedigree there, and there's a City Zip Dam, but it's not a lot of production. And this is the wrong field to be taking a horse that needs to improve substantially to win.
So I'm with you. Even 7 to 2, and we'll see. I would think we'll see it come down. Chasing Freedom.
Yeah.
Very quick early in that debut at Keeneland. Let's take a look at the first start. Went off at just under 6 to 1.
I mean, I don't have a knock on this horse. I just thought ran extremely well first time out. Took a tough beat. The only thing I would say is that sometimes these horses that are cranked up in their debuts, they run really well. They don't come back and run as well the second time, but sometimes they do. And this horse clearly has ability. Took money that day. No surprise, this horse ran well.
21 and change, 44 and change, and just caught late.
And looking at the final time, it wasn't a super, super fast, firm turf course, so those are pretty solid fractions.
I'd like to hear from Maggie, too. We get an opportunity of what she is seeing from this horse.
He's throwing his head around. I'm seeing that.
For start number 2 coming up. But price getting a little bit lower on the favorite. Let's go back to Maggie now.
Yeah, it's funny, Greg, because number 8, Chasing Freedom, started off his warm-up incredibly well. I mean, I almost wavered from my pick in here, who will be the 3, because he looked so good. And then he kind of got to the backside and he got a little bit aggressive and wanted to do a little bit too much. So, like I said, I questioned how far he ultimately wants to go and whether this 6 furlongs he'll be able to get it. Now he's settled down since he's gotten over to the backside, which you like to see. But sometimes when they are like this, then they're just going to go too fast and not have enough left in the tank. Now I want to talk about number 4, Tail Risk, who is a son of Caro for John Terranova. And Caro has gotten off to an auspicious start with his turf sprinters, hitting at 23%, as this guy sold at the OBS June sale after working 10 flat. And I like that workout. He was asked quite a bit for it, to be fair, but was very professional, responded, kind of went through his gears, had a really efficient, lovely stride to him. And on the bottom side, the Damn She wasn't much, but is half to Mississippi Delta, who went 5 for 17 on the turf and was a graded stakes winner, kind of at a middle distance. You know, I think won that graded and won the Intercontinental at 7 furlongs. So definitely some more, you know, sprint type of pedigree overall. And while doesn't look quite as good as the ones who are taking money that have experience / the other first-time starter, one I really want to watch with interest because I like the pedigree. I like that sales workout. He looks fit. He's been very professional here at First Asking. Is not taking much money, but then again, there are a lot of other kind of shiny rocks in here, if you will, Greg, that I think people are just very intrigued by and gravitating to. And this one might just be slipping through the cracks.
I happen to agree with what Maggie's saying. I think the 4 Tail Risk is an interesting horse if you want to. Somebody else. The problem is there's just too many good horses in this race. This horse is going to have to probably be a stakes quality horse to win this race. And probably not a likely situation. You've already got the 5 you know is stake-faced, who ran a competitive race against the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner. Now, that may be a silly race, but that's still a very good horse. And, you know, you've got the 2, you've got the 8, good barns, good races. You've got the 3, who's been, you know, touted to be very good, who's taking a lot of money in the face of the number 5, keeps dipping down in odds. So I agree with Maggie that the 4 is an interesting horse in here. He's just found himself in, for November 14th, what may be a very unusual turf sprint 2-year-old maiden race. This might be tougher than the 2-year-old maiden race we're running in Saratoga.
There is the favorite. We've had 3 odds-on winners to kick off the card. This one, you know, you look at the past performances, 2 stakes races, stakes placed in both, and now in a maiden special, and you think, wow, this looks like a heavy lean. Not the case. This is the biggest price of anyone yet on the card.
Yeah, this is this horse is like a long shot.
For a favorite.
Well, there's a lot going on in this race. I mean, this is a fun. I remember I saw this race. I saw Wesley in it before I realized he had a scratch on Sunday, and I thought, well, Wesley will run on the stake. That maiden race on Friday is going to be tougher than the stake.
Chris Griffin with the call. Here is the 4th from Aqueduct.
Tail Risk. Tail Risk. Right in behind the gate. Christopher Elliott. Chasing Freedom to the outside. Here's Chasing Freedom. Stepping forward. Manny Franco. Aboard. And in. All set. And they're off. Bod Beach has early speed, and Dorn towards the inside is Ever Ready. Ever Ready is now a half length in front, and here comes Gypsy Art, is going to be close up second. Bod Beach is hustled along from third. Out wider here comes Chasing Freedom. They're very strung out here as the leader really sprints away. Flavian Pratt and Ever Ready, they are up by 2.5 lengths. They're doing it nicely, 22.41. Pumped up opening quarter mile. Gypsy Art alone in second. Here comes a run from Chasing Freedom from third. Bod Beach is trying to keep up, is shoved along here at the rail in fourth. Just got passed by Blazing Tiger. Out wider, here comes the Markinator. From the back, trying to run on far, far out of it. There comes Tail Risk and just not keeping up their Overseer. They reach the top of the lane. Ever Ready, no turning back, sprints for home. Ever Ready has that 2.5, almost 3-length cushion opening back up here. Ever Ready is just opening up on this field. Still chasing. Here comes Gypsy Art from far, far out of it. Blazing Tiger. They're approaching a final 16th. It's a big cushion for the leader, Ever Ready. Ever Ready still 4.5 in front. Blazing Tiger took second, no doubt. Your winner, Kate to wire, Ever Ready. Blazing Tiger was second. Then came Gypsy Art, followed by Chasing Freedom. 1 minute 10 seconds flat.
Ever Ready cut back in distance and an upset finally on this card. First favorite not to win here in race 4.
I'm not sure this race wasn't over 3 strides out of the gate. The 8 had no speed. This horse had tons of speed. You know Flavia doesn't get in the way with horses' speed. The 5 chased him, but he never really looked like he was making a menacing run. The only horse that ran behind him was the Firster Blazing Tiger, and the Firsters I think ran 1, 2, or the good horse ran 1, 2, 3, 4. But it was spread out pretty substantially. It's a very good performance. I was laughing to myself. I think that Flavien Prat has also changed things for Chad. Before he rode Flavien, when he rode a lot of IRAD, he didn't have too many horses going to the lead, did he? Now he rides Flavien, and suddenly his horses seem to have a lot more speed because he's got a rider that's good, that isn't afraid to go to the lead. And I'm not saying IRAD's afraid to go to the lead, and I think Chad may have a lot to do with it, wanting to rate a lot of horses, but IRAD is not a rider you think of as being super aggressive, whereas Flavien is, and it certainly helps in a race like this.
2, 3, 5, 8.
Yes, this was the wrong race to have a wise guy idea. These were the right 4 on paper, and they ran 1, 2, 3, 4. The 8 regressed off his first race like we were concerned. Not this horse. He moved substantially forward, cutting back, and this is the second turf sprint winning two-year-old that's been able to cut back in races, and he won this race with a decisive early move. The others didn't have the speed he had, and he got it done.
Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, winning not in the way that I thought he would. I thought the 5 and 8 would go out there, and because I questioned their distance limitations, I thought the 2 would be able to pick him up along with the 3, but he was very quick getting to the lead, and Flavien Prat taking no prisoners. Now, when it comes to the 8, he looked to be lugging in really badly, catching freedom. Sometimes horses, when they run that second start, they don't get to the lead, and that's kind of how they react. So Manny Franco definitely having his hands full. I thought a promising debut from the first-time starter, Blazing Tiger, as he's one that, outfitted with that shadow roll, kind of running with his head up a little bit in the air, a bit green, and then once Dillon kind of got him straight in the stretch, he leveled off nicely. So showing some promise, but no doubt about your winner, Evo Ready. He was just that today, Greg.
First time sprinting. Maiden breaking win for this 2-year-old son of More Than Ready for Chad Brown, Calumet Farm, and Flavien Prat. We're going to take a timeout. Win streak, it came to an end for Laura Lynn. Last time out at Keeneland had been 5 for 5 to start her career. Could she get back on the winning track at the Jockey Club Oaks? Stay with us.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Back with you on our Friday coverage. America's Day at the Races brought to you in part by Gainesway Farm. Power, passion, performance. First race here in the 4th of the afternoon where the favorite does not win. Eva Reddy, Chad Brown, Calumet Farm, Flavian Pratt at 4-1. Cut back in distance, winning move.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you could have necessarily predicted this horse would be so much in front, but some of it had to do with the fact the 8 not running his race and able to get clear. A lot of it also has to do with good training, good idea to turn back, but also the right rider. And Flavian doesn't win a lot of races because he's always riding the best horse. He also makes the most of his situations, as evidenced by both the 3rd and 4th races today. His aggressive riding style is really is a big part of his success.
Both wins today, different surfaces. Pays off being aggressive. 4-1 here.
And not horses you would have said would be on clear leads.
Yeah. Race 5, early feature, the Notebook for 2-year-olds. Foaled in the state of New York. And finally, we get to see Caroline Street beat back for Miguel Clement after that impressive debut at Saratoga this summer.
I think this horse ran very well first time out, good trip or not. And if he can build on that race, he's going to be too much for these horses. But this is a solid field.
Slow early fractions, able to overcome it in that debut as the favorite. And Miguel Clement sounds like he's pretty high on this horse on the talent level.
I mean, why wouldn't you be? This horse ran a fast race first time out. It's interesting. He's a horse that was bred by Larry Goichman, who incredible success breeding, especially turf horse going forward. And a lot of people remember, of course, the Dam, My Heart Belongs to Daddy. And the half to My Heart Belongs to Daddy for Chad Brown. Larry Goichman ran 2nd yesterday in its debut. All comes full circle.
Indeed. Yeah, whose name is escaping me.
I can't remember it all. It's not even escaping me. It was the race won by the 12 horse.
Yes.
For TT.
Silly season. There it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Producer, Bobby. Oh, that was Maggie, actually. Forget you, Bobby.
Everybody knows more than we do.
Jockey Club Oaks. Let's look ahead to the weekend action. Grade 3. Talked about Laura Lynn. That win streak coming to an end. Can she get back on track here? Obviously very talented for Graham Motion.
Fionn, at least she ran well in the race at Keeneland. Fionn did absolutely no running whatsoever, and I know she was far back, but she didn't even really pick up much of the stretch, but Laura Lynn ran well. She just ran second to a horse that ran a little better than she did in her last start, but I don't have a knock on Laura Lynn, and thought she ran well when she was able to win the Saratoga Oaks. You've got the Belmont Oaks winner in Fionn, and you've got the Saratoga Oaks winner in Laura Lynn, as well as the runner-up. I think the only horse besides the big 2 that can win this race is the 2nd place finisher in this race, so I thought really improved in there and could be improving for Arnaud Delacour. But Laura Lynn has been a model of consistency. And
obviously, distance too, kind of a great separator in here, mile 3/8.
And to be fair, the other horse, Fionn, won at a mile and 5/16 at Kentucky Downs, which is a demanding mile and 5/16. So we know she can handle the distance. We don't know for sure that Laura Lynn can.
Let's take a look at, I believe, Fionn.
Fionn
is how you say it.
What does it mean?
But until we get pronunciations from owners, I'm not going to go 100% with that.
Well, you're absolutely right. The Jockey Club needs to have something where when they give a thing, they also give a pronunciation.
Yes, please.
100%.
3 wins in a row, 3 graded stakes wins in a row, including a grade 1 in the Belmont Oaks Invitational, beating Nitrogen. That was her crowning achievement to this point.
It was. But I'm sorry, she didn't run the best race. Nitrogen did. And, you know, what happened with Nitrogen was Opulent Restraint was too good for too long, and she had to fight quite a battle against her. And not being able to immediately put her away sapped her a little bit and allowed Fionn to catch the late stages. I don't want to take it away from Fionn, who won the race and ran terrific, and she's a very good horse. But I got to tell you something. A horse who's had a good season runs as badly as she did at Keeneland. I'm not excited about taking her in this race off of that last race. It's an uncharacteristically bad performance, and whereas Laura Lynn ran well.
Some of the best connections in the game, one of the best trainers in the sport. Now searching a little bit with an equipment change.
Yeah, it just feels like, listen, it's a good purse. We know she can handle the distance. She's going to be second choice. It makes sense to show up in here. I'm just a little concerned with her off her last race, but she also has races that she certainly can compete with Laura Lynn.
We're going to take a timeout. That is coming up on Saturday, race 7, 2:39 Eastern start time. Caroline Street beat. Had to win at Saratoga, right? At first asking, it did impressively. Now the encore in the Notebook when we come back.
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off.
Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear.
World-class racehorse, world-class performance at a world championship event.
You can gamble anywhere all the time. Just ask yourself, should I? Take a pause and think about how often you're gambling. A pause can help you stay in control. Visit oasas.ny.gov to take our survey and see if your gambling is becoming more than a game.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
The only colt ever to win 3 1-mile Grade 1s on dirt. Ran the fastest buyer of the year. That's him, 6 wide, streaking clear.
Here comes Cody's
2 more Grade 1s at 7/8. Here's his 4-go, also running a 112 bite. That's 5 Grade 1s all told. No other son of Sires Curlin has so many. They say, be careful what you wish for. We agree.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Good to have you with us on our Friday coverage here on Fox Sports 2 as we get set for the Notebook 2-year-olds mile over the inner turf. Purse of $125,000 and Caroline Street Beat. That street where all the fun happens in Saratoga. That horse with that name, very popular, backed as to favoritism and did win that debut for Miguel Clement, Matacat Stables. And now comes start number 2. First start back since that August 15th win.
And I was asking Acacia about, where has he been? And she said that Miguel said he just felt like some growing pains or something. Wanted to give him a little bit of time, but so gave him some of those races off. Didn't point to run out in the Breeders' Cup, and taking their time with a horse makes a lot of sense. And I just think, like the public, he's way the horse to beat it here. I'm surprised he's a similar price to 6, but Jaxer does have Flavia and Pratt, so I guess you're going to get probably a little shorter price than you should. Not that the 6 can't win, but I think the 5 is much more likely to win.
There he is. Manny Franco back aboard. And you could grow up a lot as a 2-year-old from that first to that second start. Let's see what Maggie thinks here of the favorite.
And we'll start off, with Caroline Street Beat. And look, he has a lovely pedigree, being a son of Tiz the Law and out of stakes winner My Heart Belongs to Daddy, or that, pedigree goes back to Elusive Rumor, who is a multiple stakes producing mare. And he's an incredibly good-looking horse. I mean, he's big. He's got a lot of scope. He's very well balanced and athletic. So that all being said, there's a reason he only cost $100,000 as a yearling. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some issues, some growing pains for him to go through. But at the end of the day, he looks best here in the paddock. He is dappled head to toe. He's very, very classy acting, much like he was in that debut. Just takes it all in, and he's one of my favorite colored horses. It sounds ridiculous, but a liver chestnut. There are not many of them, but I find that the ones that are here on the racetrack generally are pretty good. In fact, both of my husband Tom Morley's Grade 1 winners were both liver chestnuts. So I really like Caroline Street Beat. If he can kind of overcome whatever issues kind of hold him back from racing more frequently, I think he's a very likely winner in here, because the horse who arguably has, you know, the numbers to kind of stack up against him, who is your current third choice on the board in number 1, Spirit of New York. He's going to try to stretch out in distance, and Honest Mischief, we're yet to see if he can produce a winner going long on the turf. And while I like this horse's disposition for trying a bit more ground, he's very laid back, and even his second start, I was a little concerned because he was a little bit over the top in that Skidmore, at least in the paddock, but then settled on track, and I wasn't in the paddock for his September 20th effort in the Bertram F. Bongard, a winning one and a convincing win at that. He has taken those steps to become a more mature athlete, but I'm not sure about this stretch out, to be honest, looking at him physically. And furthermore, he just does not look particularly well in his coat or his just flesh overall. So I'm a little dubious of his chances here stretching out to this mile in the notebook. Moving on to number 6, Jaxer. He's your second choice for Grand Motion. He's one that I thought first time out just didn't look all that fit, a bit raw looking overall, and definitely didn't want to go the 5.5 furlongs, as he has been building upon that effort ever since, and sat contently tracking the pace last time, cruised to the lead at the quarter pole without being asked, and lasted quite nicely to get the job done. He has developed. He's far more fit and athletic looking here for Grand Motion. I do like what I'm seeing, but in the face of Caroline Street Beat, he looks second to that guy. Greg?
So post-parade coming up momentarily. Thank you, Maggie. Let's take a look at Jaxer in his maiden win, third time the charm for this son of Slumber for Grand Motion.
I thought he ran well in here. Coach Ryan, who he beat, was a second-time starter for Chad Brown, who has some ability, and he's better than him that day. Thought he ran well, overcoming the outside post, but a little different scenario today because there's so much other speed. You've got the 1 stretching out, you've got the 7 stretching out, you've got the 9 stretching out. It's very hard to see him be in the same kind of comfortable position he was stalking the pace last time. So you've got that as a scenario. You've also got the fact he's facing a tougher field, and I think he's massively overbet, a lot of it because Flavien Prat is riding him. But listen, I have a lot of respect for Grand Motion that he can move forward, but I wouldn't take 3-1 on him. I think the 5's a better bet at 8-5, and he's at 3-1. To me, the horse that's being completely ignored on the board is the 4, Tim and Sam. And I know he just beat Twirling Lad, the 10 in this race last time by a nose. I'm not sure why he's 22-1, and that horse would post 10 as 19-1. Thought he ran the better race. He was outside. The other horse was inside. I thought Tim and Sam was a very viable alternative in this race, who to me is a ridiculous overlay. I don't get it at all.
Third behind Caroline Street Beat in the second start of his career. Took him 4 starts, finally broke through in his third try on turf to break his maiden by a nose over Twirling Lad, who is the outside runner here. He's a big number.
But he's even bigger number. Shouldn't he be a shorter price than the 10? Just seems a little surprising. I mean, I can see why Spirit of New York is taking money. I'm with Maggie. And I like hearing what Maggie said. I don't want Honest Mischief stretching out. You know, Keisha had made that point earlier where Honest Mischief is 14% with his turf sprinters. He's 0 for 15 with turf routers. You know, this is just his second year as a stallion, so it's just his second crop. So he hasn't had many opportunities, but it's not surprising that a sprint horse that's had success as a sprint stallion is not having success when they're stretching out.
We'll see if that streak comes to an end here. Spirit of New York, Bertram F. Bongard winner in his most recent start against New York Breds. That was at 6 furlongs. Goes beyond 6 for the first time coming up.
And you know he's going here. Ricardo Santana's not rating a stretch out speed on the inside. So unless he doesn't get out of the gate, this horse is going. So you're going to have to run too fast if you want to get in front of him.
4-1 right now. Horse who was a debut winner at Saratoga. And 5.5 furlongs for Adam Rice. As Ricardo Santana Jr. will get a leg up here in a moment. John Velasquez, he'll be on Lawyer Mason for the Morley barn, who was in against Spirit of New York in that Bertram F. Bongard, was third behind him.
And he's a tis the law, so I think it's reasonable to think he could stretch out. I don't love these horses stretching out. He's got to improve to win this race stretching out. And my question would be, if Tom thought he was a better horse going long, why did he run him in 4 sprints to start? So that, you know, so what I feel like is here is that Tom's checking a box at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense, you know. Why don't I find out here if he can be better going longer, and next year I'll leave him in sprint races.
Maybe it'll work out.
It may work out, and I'm not saying he can't. Tom won stretching out with Atfield last week. I'm just saying 4 times he ran going short.
Here's Spirit of New York, first time going long for Adam Rice.
Yeah, I'm with Maggie. I don't want him stretching out, but he is a good horse.
Truman's commander, Mark Cassibarn, coming out of the Grade 2 Pilgrim.
But he's a horse that's been able to set moderate paces that's now facing a race laden with much more speed.
Here's Chummers, Ray Handlebarn.
I love Chummers and Ray, but he's a little overmatched trying to stretch out.
Yeah, should have some early speed in here. Tim and Sam, who was third behind Caroline Street Beat.
Bred by my friend Jordan Wyckoff. I think he's a ridiculous overlay at 23-1 in this race.
Is this price a little short? I know this horse was impressive first start.
It's getting there. It's getting close, but he is way the horse to beat.
Jaxer, Grand Motion.
I'd rather take 8-5 on the 5 than 3-1 on this horse, even though I think he can win. What about you? You know,
I just don't think we know enough about maybe he's that good. I want to see it again.
No, I don't think that's a bad way to look at it, but I just think relative prices, I think the 5's a more likely winner than just the difference in 8-5, 3-1.
Cristobal went by, stretching out for Rob
Should be
Falcone
forward.
Jr. Lawyer Mason, Tom Morley. We talked about Funny Factor, the 9.
I think Funny Factor's really good, and I don't, once again, like the others, I don't blame Jimmy for stretching out and finding out. I just think this is a tough spot with a speed horse to be stretching out on the turf.
Yeah, and again, Twirling Lad tried to wire a field last start, missed by a nose to Tim and Sam.
How is he going to get the same trip he got last time?
He
still couldn't win.
Yeah,
and he's 16-1, and the 4 is 20-1. I still don't get it.
Yeah, a little strange. As we look at Truman's commander, coming out of, obviously, a Grade 2. Horse who, top 2 finishers, went on to the Breeders' Cup. Juvenile turf.
You know, top 3 finishers, actually. Let's be frank. Got a horrendous trip in the Breeders' Cup.
Johnny ran well in that race for
He did.
Handle.
Ran like 5th, I think, in there.
4th, I think.
And he ran the best of any of them, yeah. I don't like this horse at all. He's a forwardly placed horse with too much speed to deal with in this race, so I don't like him. I think he's way overbet at 8-1.
Broke his maiden, soft fractions on the lead 2 back. He will not be able to be anywhere near the lead doing that today.
I want 2-1 heads up that the 4 finishes ahead of him. That's my position. My position in this race is the 5 is the horse to beat, and the 4 is an overlay. That's my position in here.
And obviously, look, it's Mark Cassie. You see Grade 2 just getting overbet because of that.
Yeah, overbet because he ran the Pilgrim, broke his maiden. The figures, the buyer figures, put him in line with the favorite in this race.
But
it's
hard
very
to see
different.
a path.
Right, because it's just
him.
He's a horse that's been able to run well because he's been forward. He's going to have to completely change that running style in all likelihood in this race, and maybe he will, but not for me. But listen, you like him, he's 9-1. I mean, I don't want to talk people off 10-1 shots. I just don't like him.
But yeah, you would have to see a complete change of the way he runs and has been successful to try and win today.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to ask yourself those questions. And if your answer is, I have those concerns too, but I think considering how fast he's run at almost 10-1, I don't mind taking a chance. I'm not going to argue with him yet. He doesn't work for me, but I can understand the argument for him because he's simply run fast enough to be competitive here. I just think he's been doing it with the kind of trip he's not getting here.
Look, we talk about 2-year-old figures on the turf all the time. They're hard to gauge.
They are.
A 73, that's a pretty big buyer speed figure first time out for 2-year-olds.
It is. It is.
Is it reliable to think that he ran that well?
Well, considering he ran behind him, look at Tim and Sam who ran behind him, right? Dirt race doesn't count. He ran basically the same figure in his next start, so the figure held up.
Okay.
You know, I don't have any reason to believe he's not that good. I don't know. I mean, he's 9-5 now. In the 2-1 range, I don't think he's a bad gamble. I picked him on top. I'm not running to the window to bet him at that price, but I think he's the horse to beat, and I didn't like anybody enough to pick him on top, though I think the 4, like I keep saying, is way too big a price, and I ended up betting a few dollars to win on him, and I put him second to the 5 and a little bit to the 6.
Well, Miguel Clement, pretty high on his favorite as well. Let's go back to Maggie.
I like the way Andy's thinking when it comes to Tim and Sam. Look, you see this price disparity, slight price disparity, they're big prices, both of them on the 2 Horacio de Paz runners. And I remember Horacio thinking very highly of number 10, Twirling Lad. When he made his second start, he was beaten by Truman's commander that day because he had been working very well with Awesome Check, who is Horacio's New York bred stakes winning filly, multiple stakes winning filly. And I get it, but at the end of the day, Twirling Lad's still a maiden. And and Tim and Sam beat him fair and square, I think. He was able to wear him down in the latter stages, and Tim and Sam he looks great. Honestly, one of those horses that my eye just kind of kept going back to. So I think Andy putting a win wager on a 20-to-1 shot is a very good idea. Now, number 8 in here, that is Lawyer Mason. Has some pedigree to stretch out, but he's quite a petite lad. He is very small, so immediately you don't think longer is going to be better. He's a little bit more of an even frame, you know, and he's not, you know, like a quarter horse or anything like that. But the petite nature of him and he's so naughty. He was so well behaved back in the paddock, but he got out on the track and was bucking and carrying on. And I'm like, that is not a great introduction to the Hall of Famer, John Velasquez, my friend. So while I give him credit because he is a bit of a scrapper and I appreciate his tenacity in his races, I'm just not, and maybe a mile's okay, but I do think ultimately he's going to prove to be a better sprinter. Guys.
Here they come, stepping onto the turf course. 9-5, Caroline Street beat start number 2.
You got a couple of Tiz the Laws here, including the favorite and Lawyer Mason. I agree with Maggie. I think that he is going to be a solid turf sprinter, and they'll take a shot and see how it works today. I can't knock him for that. But boy, is Tiz the Law, you know, he's been overshadowed because, you know, there's some other stallions that have had, you know, done really well and such. But Tiz the Law, very quietly, is a very, very, and I don't know how quiet it is, he's a terrific stallion.
And interesting article in the forum today. It's Miguel Clement was very honest. He said it's been a rush job to get this horse, the favorite, to this race today.
Really?
But
Okay.
he thinks the horse is talented enough to, as he said, bail him out.
All right. Well, he has a built-in excuse now. Trainers like nothing better than a built-in excuse. Usually it's blaming the jockey.
It's our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Spendthrift with the 6-time reigning champion General Sire Into Mischief. Sire this year's Derby. Belmont Travers winner Sovereignty, who we're hoping to see come back in 2026. Here we go, loading up for the notebook. Caroline Street Beat. Named after that, where all the fun happens in Saratoga.
Oh, it's not all the fun.
A lot of the fun.
I've had a lot of fun in my life on Caroline Street. I've been going there since I was 17. When I was 18, the drinking age was 18. I might have gone to some bars.
No.
I might have. I looked about 6.
Manny Franco back aboard for start number 2. Let's go to Chris Griffin for this feature.
Twirling Lad to the outside. Caroline Street Beat. Goes in. All set for the notebook. And they're off. Speed to the inside from Spirit of New York. Spirit of New York, and here comes Truman's Commander will challenge from the far outside draw. Twirling Lad wants to be the leader, and now Twirling Lad will take the front. Twirling Lad is up by a half length with at the rail, that's Spirit of New York. Outwider is going to be Truman's Commander, is now a shared third. Just behind them comes Funny Factor in fourth. Caroline Street Beat is now in fifth, patiently ridden. Right there at the rail will save all the ground, and Cristobal is towards the outside of that one in sixth. Then in seventh comes Jaxer towards the back end of the field. They're followed by Lawyer Mason. Tight hold here, Tim and Sam. And the trailer, Chummers. They work up the backstretch here in the notebook. And the leader, a long shot in Twirling Lad. Truman's Commander in hot pursuit towards the outside. And here comes Spirit of New York, is on the muscle, wants to go for Santana Jr. Nowhere to go right now, 48 seconds flat for a half-mile time. Funny Factor is still in fourth. Caroline Street Beat is right there in fifth. Gets in closer as they work into the far turn. From the back, Cristobal's trying to launch a rally. Same can be said for Jaxer. Tim and Sam is still under a snug hold. Has some run, nowhere to go right now. Then comes Lawyer Mason. The trailer is Chummers. They get set to reach the top of the lane, and they're still chasing the longtime leader in Twirling Lad. Here comes Truman Commander down towards the inside. Spirit of New York. Funny Factor starts to launch a rally. Caroline Street Beat now starts to extend that stride down towards the inside. Jaxer. Spirit of New York. Funny Factor. Caroline Street Beat down at the rail. Look at Jaxer. Jaxer's going to get up. Jaxer won the notebook. Flavia and Pratt. Wow. Caroline Street Beat is in a photo there with Funny Factor. Then came Spirit of New York, but give it to Jaxer in the notebook.
3 through the first 5. Flavien Prat. It's Jaxer up the inside for Graham Motion.
And look at him right now. There's Flavien. He's thinking, what am I going to do? Well, I can't get outside because the 5's outside, so I'm getting blind switch there. Okay, I'm going to dip down to the inside. Okay, the 1 has horse. And then, oh, they drifted off the rail. The rails are at 0. I'm going right to the fence. Horse who ran a completely different type of running style than last time gets it done with an exceptional trip. Though, I'm not going to knock the 5's trip. I think Caroline Street Beat got a very good trip and ride from Manny. It was second best in here. Good trip or not with the winner, that horse was best. Flavien just... That's why that horse in the second race that won, it was so shocking, because the guy almost never doesn't give a good ride.
Such incredible. He is incredible. Jaxer with a win here. Back-to-back wins off a win against New York bred maidens back on October 9th. Now backs it up with a notebook victory against New York breds as well. And Prat delivers more brilliance.
And Sol Kuhlman runs 1-2 with Head of Plains beating Matacat.
So Jaxer, son of Slumber, former Manhattan winner, with the victory. We're early on in the card relatively, and Prat already with 3, including Jaxer. Here in the notebook, prices when we come back.
I have 52,000 starts in my life. I've never seen one that could take as much as he did early and continue to improve.
And it is Gunite.
He's strong, he's attractive.
And he's going to win the hopeful.
He's extremely smooth and fluid.
Gunite is a tough customer here as they come on for the finish.
How sound he is.
Gunite got the jump.
Consistent mentally, physically.
He will defeat Elite Power in the Forgo.
Complete package.
This man is just amazing, continues to do otherworldly things. Flavien Prat, first in the history of the New York circuit to win 7 on a card. Did that a week ago Sunday. Followed it up with an incredible first week of this winter meet, and he's got 3 on today's card.
Guys, it's an exceptional rider, and you know, people can say, oh, he's riding some short rides, or he's riding good horses. If you don't think this was a great ride, you have no idea what you're looking at.
Jaxer, Graham Motion, Head of Plains Partners. Let's go down to Maggie.
Pleased to be joined here by Graham Motion's assistant, Ian Wilson. Ian, how long have you been Graham's assistant now?
Feels like forever.
It does. That's why I asked.
Since 2017. You can do the math.
Yeah, I'm terrible at math, but long enough, that's for sure. But based down in Fair Hill, as is Jaxer. This is a horse that I saw in his debut. He's just developed so much, and it really feels like the light bulb's going on for him.
Yeah, I think adding the blinkers definitely helped. And, I mean, getting a ride like that from Flavian always helps. I mean, I was a little nervous at the top of the stretch, but he looked confident the whole way.
And two, you have to have the horse underneath of you to do and pull that kind of move off. Once he saw daylight, he exploded.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was really cool. I was a little worried there wasn't a hole there, but Flavian found a way. And like you said, once there was somewhere to go, he went, which was awesome to see.
It feels like Graham's horses really run well during the fall meet. I mean, they run well all year long, but it really, you know, when you come here in the fall, you're well represented often in the winner's circle. Talk a little bit about how you think that translates because of training at Fair Hill. It might give you a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, I think, you know, we have a lot of options to run out of Fair Hill, and obviously we love coming up here. We try to bring kind of the nicer horses up here, and fortunately it seems to work out sometimes.
They seem to fit very nicely. Well, congratulations here in this notebook.
Thank you.
All right, Ian Wilson for Graham Motion and Jaxer. Impressive winner here in this New York Bred Stakes. Greg?
Yes, he was. Now back-to-back wins here in our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Graham Motion with a busy weekend coming up. This is a nice way to start it off.
Graham should have run 1-2 in the Long Island, running second and third this weekend, so he deserves a little good luck. And I don't think this was good luck. I think this horse ran very, very well, and you know, showing a lot of maturity for a 2-year-old. You know, sort of altering course. But boy, did he get a great ride by Flavian.
Yes, he did. So notebook winner Jaxer. We're going to talk more Graham Motion when we come back. Could be an even bigger weekend to come for him, as he has Laura Lynn back in action, Jockey Club Oaks, and his millionaire Trickery set to line up in the Knickerbocker. We'll be back.
They say breed the best of the best and hope for the best.
Vacoma broke well on the outside. And
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
It is Vacoma, the one to catch. Vacoma has a 5-length lead in this Grade 1 corner. Inside, Vacoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vacoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
A provision in a bill passed this summer reduces the tax deduction for wagering losses from 100% to 90%. This unfair change would tax horse players on a percentage of their losses, could cost over $1 billion in handle, and threaten thousands of jobs in the racing industry. That's why the NTRA is fighting to pass the Wager Act, a new bill that would restore the deduction to 100%. Tell Congress to pass the Wager Act. Visit ntra.com/wager.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them.
Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
And Better Talk Now is uncorking his rally now. Then Tam turns fourth, followed by Questar. Down to the final 100 yards. Millennium Dragon, Better Talk Now, and Del Mar Show. Those three driving finish. Here comes Better Talk Now, who surges on the outside to get it. Better Talk Now wins by a neck.
Better Talk Now, affectionately known around the barn as Blackie when he was around. What a runner. 14-time winner, $4.3 million in earnings.
And you can almost see the brilliance of Ramon Dominguez sitting down on the inside with him and getting him out in the stretch and getting it done. That was a very patient and great rider, Ramon. And this was a terrific horse who had a long career. And you know what? He had a rabbit, and nobody ever complained about it. Those are the days when people ran rabbits and nobody cared.
Knickerbocker Graham Motion will have Trickery with John Velasquez.
You can bring a rabbit. Trickery. I like Trickery in here.
You do? What do you like?
I don't love his last race, but I'm wondering if it was good enough that if he can move forward off it, that maybe he can show some signs of getting back to his good form as a 3-year-old. He has not been able to show it, but Air Recruit looks like the speed. I know Honor is good. I don't love him. I thought the Trickery had a chance to beat the 2 favorites.
Air Recruit, back-to-back wins coming off a long, long time away before getting beat at Kentucky Downs. This is his win in the Oceanport.
I thought he ran fine here, I thought he got a good trip, but I thought he ran very well to get it done. I think he's the horse to catch in here, and maybe the horse to beat. I have no knock on him. I have no knock on Ohana Honor. I just want to take a little shot with Trickery. And the way Graham's going, I want to bet all his horses.
Dylan Davis will ride Air Recruit, who would
tough beat.
Certainly shown ability. Back as a 2-year-old, missed all of his 3-year-old campaign, and they came back with back-to-back wins off the bench.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this race. This was a race that very often, usually was the feature on Election Day. We used to run an Election Day on the Tuesday, and the Knickerbocker for many years was the feature. And one of the most famous Knickerbockers that some people remember got rained off the turf. And Julie Crone was riding a horse named Rinkadas for Scotty Schulhofer. I think it was a Darley horse. I think he opened up 7 lengths past the 16th ball in the slop and took a right turn, ducked out to the outside rail. I guarantee Julie remembers it, and dumped Julie, and subsequently did not win.
Wow.
Yes, I remember that. I think we have a friend who claims to have had a huge bet on Rinkadas, but I'm sure a lot of people claimed he was a 7-1 that based on people after the race was 7-5. It's kind of like Alamuse, that when they DQ'd the wrong horse was 7-1. I'm the only person that was there that day that admits that I didn't bet him.
This weekend, not just the Knickerbocker. We have a great card coming up on Saturday, so we hope you join us.
Yep.
Including the 2 we just talked about, those 2 stakes. Sunday, Pebbles, Forever Together, as we wind down turf season, but we may get a couple of races each next week, right?
I think we're going to card 1 or 2 each day throughout the week on the outer. We're not going to run the inner, only on the outer, and obviously weather dependent. We look fine for next Thursday. There's some possible rain on Friday, but these things can change a lot. And the way it's going, they're predicting rain. It doesn't really come, so we'll hopefully get through it with a few turf races.
Set up the 6. You can watch it. We're going to be signing off here in just a few moments on Naira Bets, of course. Starts the late Big 4 at 6.5 furlongs, New York bred, $50,000 maiden claiming right. This is an incredibly difficult race, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is Kid Rich 9-5?
I'm not going to bet Kid Rich at 9-5, but I think he's the horse to beat in this race. But Toy Cannon's going to be close to him by the time we get to post. A lot of money coming in for Red Fern. What's that about? Horse was awful first time
Took money
out.
first time out. It was a debut.
Bad race.
I thought Twisted Banker was interesting.
I know, but okay. Was the favorite in that race.
Yeah, now being completely dismissed.
I think he's the horse.
Yeah, debuted on turf. Moves to dirt now. Blinkers on for Linda Rice. Start number 2. The card the rest of the way, I guess maybe race 7.
I like Funny Uncle Little the 7th. You like him at all?
I do a little bit. I mean, obviously Tarpaulin and Brave Buck can take a lot of money. But
yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't like Brave Buck's last race. I don't like the way he dropped out so badly. But obviously they're the 2 horses to beat.
Race 8 is near impossible.
I'm going to try to wire the field with Rabaha, the 4, but I'm with you. It's a very, very tough race.
And then, unless you think 21 Red, which probably many
He's
do.
going to be a big favorite.
Is a standout favorite, then if not, it becomes a very wide open race.
What about a Linda Rice first-time starter? Worked 10 flat, cost a lot of money, has plenty of turf pedigree, the 9 Music in Motion. That's where I went to try to beat the 4, but only because I didn't want to take the 4 at a super short
But the
price.
Tom Morley horse moving to turf is interesting.
I agree. A horse that took a ton of money first time out. Sarah Rico has speed. I think that horse is very dangerous.
Nickerson, I thought,
third.
debuting interesting.
Also interesting. Flavian Pratt's on the horse for Cox on the outside.
Yeah.
So, but the 4 will be a big favorite. I think he may be one of the biggest favorites in that sequence. What do you?
Of what's left,
Yeah. Because there aren't races that have massive standouts.
Horse you're most looking forward tomorrow to seeing? Laura Lynn?
Oh, I picked against Laura Lynn. I can't, on the spot, I can't tell you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I usually put you on the spot and you get mad at me. I don't know. I'll be on Talking Horses. Then
Okay.
I'll let them know, and my picks will be up eventually.
We're back tomorrow, 12 Eastern start time on our Saturday coverage. So we hope to see you then on Fox Sports 2. We'll be back with our Saturday coverage in the notebook. Jaxer through the first 5 on the card. 3 wins for Flavian Pratt. Teams up with Graham Motion for this victory in Manicat. Tomorrow, Jockey Club Oaks. 2 pretty good ones. Laura Lynn started her career 5 for 5. Runner-up finish last time out, the first defeat of her career. And Fionn, an equipment change to try to get back on track. See you tomorrow.